watching us from the comfort of your homes, your offices, and wherever you are doing the watching or listening. A big thank you, and bigger thank you to Ahunto 92.3 FM. They filled a big hole within the Greater Accra region. They are providing us live coverage on Ahunto 92.3 FM, 92.3 FM, and you can get to listen to us live. And of course, this morning we are talking about the elections. These are special circumstances. Typically, we have done a review of the year, but the elections just happened. Issues still lingering, yet to be resolved. This week has been a very, very busy week. We've seen a minority walk. We've also seen a statement from the EC, first announcing that they were going on break. We thought it was the headquarters. They issued an update saying that everybody else from all across the country, they are all going on a break that some have described as well-deserved. Well, there are issues still lingering that needs to be dealt with, and we'll deal with that on this program today. Joining me for this discussion today, as usual, Mr. Kwesi Prajina is to my immediate right, and then just following him is Madam Joyce Bawa Mukhtari, who is a special aide to the presidential candidates of the National Democratic Congress, former President John Dramani Mahama. And then we have an original on the show, the originator of the show, one of the persons for whom this show is named Alhaji and Alhaji. I am not Alhaji Sena. He is Alhaji ABF Husseini. He is member of parliament for Sanyarugu. He joins us today. It's wonderful to have Alhaji here on a day like this. And then we are expecting to be joined by a deputy national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Elvis Bota, on the show. We are expecting him to join us pretty shortly. But a big thank you for making time. And of course, let's start the show by taking a round of, it's Christmas. Yesterday was Christmas. We are expecting the New Year. We will not be here before the New Year or immediately after the New Year. In fact, next week, you'll not be seeing us on the screen. We'll come after next week's Saturday. So we'll take just a round of messages, and I'll start to my immediate right. Usually it doesn't start the conversation, but since these are season's greetings, Mr. Pratt. Thank you. Thank you. Madam Jezwa Mutari.
Well, I think I'll follow suit. So, Merry Christmas to each and every one of us. God bless us and give us better years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Alhaji.
Yeah, I want to take this opportunity to wish my brothers and sisters in Christianity a belated Merry Xmas. I'm sure yesterday was the occasion. Like a prosperous new year. Unfortunately, we are in very, very difficult times, very challenging times, and in conformity with our Christian beliefs and values. I believe we must stand up in this country for what is right and proper. And especially in times like this, I want to urge my Christian brothers not to allow any other thing to cow them into submission and to live according to the biblical teachings of justice being at the core and at the center of our lives. Never to we compromise this both on the altar of anything.
Let me thank you, Alhaji. And we'll take a short break. When we'll come back, we'll start a discussion on the elections. And Alhaji ABF Husseini will be starting for us. We are back shortly.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and the champion.
Hello, what are you doing? Tuesdays, Friday, 8:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day. You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Late Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those socio-economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. And personality profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational stories from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma, but still, the only TV show with a heart.
salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy, Africa's great son, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah.
Morning is an important time of the day because how you spend your morning can often tell you what kind of day you're going to have. I want you to have a great day. So start your day with me because I can guarantee a great show every weekday on Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. I will be serving some inspiration, news, business, health, newspaper review, music, and so much more. Join me, Kwame Owusu Danso on Good Morning Africa on Pan-African Television. Let's have a truly African morning. Medasi.
Welcome back from that break. If you just joined us, let me remind you quickly, we are in the premises of Pan-African Television. The reason is so that you can join us here and come and share your views. So if you're close by, if you can, walk in, you are invited, come and join us. There are seats for you. You can sit around and watch what is going on. We are in the premises of Pan-African Television, a public event. A big thank you for making time for Alhaji and Alhaji today, and of course a big thank you to our partner stations once again. If you're just joining us, I introduced the panel. It's been quite a while. So Comrade Kwesi Prajina is with us, Madam Joyce Bawa Mokhtari, and then Alhaji ABF Hussein, who is member of Parliament for Sanyarugu, is also with us. Well, our special guest this morning, like I indicated, is you. Those of you who watch us, come and join us if you are close by. Come and be a part of the show. But we also invited some other guests. We have the NDC parliamentary candidate for the 2020 elections, Sikado Ketan, Dr. Grace Ayesu Dankwa. I forgot her name for a moment there. Dr. Grace Ayesu Dankwa has joined us. And so there are several other people who will be joining us as we go along in the show. Like I indicated, our discussion today centered around the elections. We'll start with Alhaji ABF Hussein. Alhaji, good morning.
Let me say a good morning to yourself, Comrade Kwesi Prajina, my sister Joyce, Doc, and our distinguished, dedicated, hardworking members here today who are our guests today. I want to salute all of you for keeping faith in Pan-African. And let me not forget the original people of the Sanaro Conference, on whose behalf and as whose behest I'm here. I'm eternally grateful to them. Like I've said, especially for this year's election, I have indicated in Senate that never in the annals of our country's history have we seen the blatant attempt to corrupt the electorate and is speaking from our constituency. I have never. It's incredible. The level of opulence and the extent to which them people go to try and grab the electorate. But the original people of the Zonal exhibited their integrity and refused to put into that. I want to salute them for that exemplary act of standing up for our democracy. So now we are talking about these elections. I think through years of struggle, dedication and hard work by thousands of people across this country, but led by a dedicated core of people, including our Comrade Kwesi Prajina and others, we have instituted democracy as the system of government that our country cherishes. We have taken democracy as the basis upon which we should elect people to represent us in the executive and the legislature to steer the affairs of the state. That is anchored on ensuring that the verdict of the people as expressed in free, fair, transparent, and credible elections is made to stay. In other words, the freedom of choice of the electorate, starting from the period when you vote, to when the votes are counted, to the proper collation of the votes, to the just, fair, and unbiased declaration of the verdict of the people. So that is why we say democracy is a process. Any time you tamper with any of the stages of the process, that process cannot be free, fair, transparent, and credible. And so that is the totality of the area of operation that we are talking about today. Sad to relate today, one of the persons who has been involved in these demonstrations and others, and who, I may say, contributed to ensuring that our democratic space was also built, is today, by virtue of God's providence, the President of the Republic, but who is presiding against an anti-democratic, and if I'm being charitable, to say that a despotic regime today that is so grossly intolerant of any iota of criticism. Today, the NPP government and the Nana Akufo can condemn all other sectors of dissent But if you dare criticize the government, even with just a statement, they will come at you with a sledgehammer. They will throw a kitchen sink at you. And so that is what has been now brought to our democratic sphere. And so now I said it on Alhaji Alhaji, I think a week after the current chairperson of the Electoral Commission was appointed. And I said it at that time, and I said I want to be contradicted. I would very much love that what I'm saying did not come true. That Madam Jean Mensah, Dr. Bosman Asari, and others were being appointed to the Electoral Commission to steal the mandate of the good people in the 2020 election and give Nana Akufo-Addo a second term. They were being recruited purposely for that act. Sana, today it's sad to say that I've been vindicated. The last election that we have just gone through, never in the annals of our country's history have we seen anything like that. Sana, it goes without saying, and as I've always said, that the verdict is out there. Anyone who dies in the market doesn't have his funeral being announced. It's already a public information out there. I'm sure today Jean Mensah's sordid record of performance at the Electoral Commission is there for all to see. Indeed, Senator, we have had commissioners preside over the affairs. We've had Josiah, the first chairperson of the Electoral Commission, then followed by Afarijan, and then Charlotte Osei. Never in the annals of our country's history have we had an election verdict for the presidential pronounced, and then 24 hours later we have a revision of that verdict, and then less than 24 hours later we have another revision and subsequent revisions, to the point that we have had 6 verdicts on this particular election. Which of them are the good people of Ghana going to take and accept as the legitimate and authentic verdict that they went to cast the ballot, and which it is? So now today, what do they take? That left us in a quandary. In the parliamentary elections, constituencies have not been collated officially by the Electoral Commission, but results have been declared. Go and read CI 127. It says out, and CI 127, for the benefit of our listening public, CI 127 was brought by no mean a person than Jean Mensah herself to Parliament. I'm privileged to have been a member of Parliament, and these were issues that came before on the floor of the House. And among others, 127 mandates the Electoral Commission, after the counting and negotiation of the results, they are duty bound first and foremost to collate results, to do a collation in the presence of representatives of all the political parties, and if they are independent candidates, they are agents. So collation can never be done in a secret. It cannot be done in secret. Collation has been done in the full glare of the public and in the face of representatives of those who are interested in that election. So now, when that collation is done, via the pink sheet, the results are recorded. 127 also mandates that when that result is declared, copies will be made available to agents of the parties that are contesting that election. So every political party or independent candidate who is a contestant in that election, it is mandatory. In fact, 127 uses the word shall, that the EC shall make copies available to the agents of those political. So it is not an option. It is not at the discretion of the EC to decide whether they give you copy. The operating word is shall, and shall is mandatory in law. So now, that apart, a copy of the declared result is to be posted at the venue of that declaration. That is where the declaration is made on that venue. A copy of the authentic result is to be posted on the wall. So now I can tell you in a number of these constituencies where this is happening. The most controversial of which is Techma South. No such thing. All these things have been initiated. None of them have been complied with. Yet the Electoral Commission has gone ahead and declared Techma South for the new Patriotic Party. They have done so in some other constituencies. My sister is here in Esikado Ketan. According to the pink sheets that we in the NDC gathered, Esikado Ketan was one of the constituencies we won. There were counts, recounts, and recounts. And you know the declarations were made. And the number of seats that we won per our collation of the results in the number of police seats was that our last count 140, 141 seats that the NDC won in the parliamentary elections. So clearly, if you put what has happened at the presidential and both the parliamentary elections, clearly the NDC won this election convincingly. So now take note that before we went for these elections, and still in this parliament of this republic, the 7th parliament, the MPP had a majority of 63 seats. In parliament, MPP has 169 seats, and NDC has 106. So fortunately, at least my mathematics is better than that of Jimesa. If you subtract 106 from 109, at least the correct answer should be 63. If you had been Jimesa, I should have said maybe 102. So clearly, it is abundantly clear that the NDC swept the polls. If you have a 63 majority and that has been decimated, and the opposition now has 140, 141 seats in our coalition, you have clearly lost the election by no stretch of logic. And take note, I've heard people try to argue that the fact that you had 146 is not coterminous with an argument that they are not where voter populations are high. Take note, even the 140, 141 seats that there are areas where the NDC lost in the parliamentary election, but President Mahama won in those areas. Clearly. So even if you add that, you are talking of a larger stretch at the presidential plane. So there can be no doubt about the fact that Nana Akufo-Addo did not win the election. So now go back and do the first computation. And that's why I'm saying that is the product. You see, if you combine legendary incompetence with deliberate act of fraud, you have disaster on your hands. And that is what we had with this Jimesa Bosman-led Electoral Commission. In their bid to steal, they did not take cognizance of the fact that you are dealing with figures, and anytime you add on to figures and others, percentages and others will change. They were not clever at stealing. So now go and do a calculation of the very first, on the 9th of December, the result that was declared. If you put Nana Akufo-Addo's vote over the total
as with Moise,
votes cast,
you have brought a lot of liars here.
Times 100, we are going to get a percentage. The EC gave 51.9%, which was false. If you put Nana Akufo-Addo's vote of 6 million, I can't put the exact figure here, but 6 million, the first vote that he got, 6 million something over the 13 million, times 100, we are going to get 50.09%. But the Electoral Commission came with a different figure of 51.9%, something to that effect. That was patently false. By no stretch of logic could you put such figures together and get the percentage that was given to Nana Akufo-Addo. It was false. Indeed, the Electoral Commission told the whole world, Madam Jimesa told the whole world that if you added all the votes of the only constituency that was not added, that is Techma South, to President Mahama, it would not change the outcome of the election. And that was patently false. Totally false. Now, Techma South has a voter population of over 128,000. So now, if you compute the percentage of voters in Techma as a percentage of the entire nation, is 0.95%. So if you took 0.95% from the 0.9% that Nana Akufo-Addo had in the first result that was declared by the Electoral Commission. You are now going to come down straight to 49.11%. So even using Electoral Commission's own figures, padded as you are, and I'm sure that we can demonstrate in clear terms how the figures were padded for Nana Akufo-Addo. Sometimes from polling stations, sometimes at the introduction of a deliberately fraudulent scheme like regional coalition. The regional coalition was introduced by the Electoral Commission as an avenue for them to further steal votes and add to Nana Akufo-Addo. So even if you took all that into consideration and you took away the Chima South vote of 128,000, constituting about 0.95% from Nana Akufo-Addo's total, he comes down to 49.11%. The constitution of this republic mandates that for anybody to be declared president-elect, you must achieve a minimum of 50% of the vote plus one. 49.11% is not 50% plus one. Granted that the bloated figures of the Electoral Commission are even what we take into consideration. It did it. Then you had all these subsequent divisions. Some of it very ridiculously. The total of all the votes and others summed up came to 103.something%. That's Jim Mensah's Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commissioner recruited by Nana Akufo-Addo to steal the ballot, steal the verdict of the people for him. So you had situations where even in an attempt to beat it down, they came subsequently and they came to 97%. So none of the figures were adding up. Why? Because the theft that they did could not get it in a manner, they couldn't do it so efficiently that the figures would add up. So even today we are stuck with this in this quagmire. And in the face of the protest, what have we seen? 8 people have lost their lives. The most precious thing that any human being has is their life. I'm sure you know the one to call that Nana Akufo-Addo said some time ago that he would not want to be president by shedding a single drop of blood. Today he's swimming in a pool of blood of Ghanaians whose blood have to be shed for him to become president. Today, the one who was an Olympic record for demonstrations is today telling us that through police and other things that he wants to use to create a regime of oppression and suppression, that Ghanaians can no longer go on demonstration. And that in Accra and other areas, demonstrations are banned until somewhere in January. That members of parliament who disgusted about this bogus and fraudulent result are taking a walk to the Electoral Commission to present a petition to the Electoral Commission. And he chooses to send the police after them to clamp down on members of parliament, to clamp down on dissent, to make sure that no Ghanaian today is able to speak. But I say that you can never frighten a chief warrior with a mustache. We can never be cowed into submission as Ghanaians. I want to take this opportunity to say without any iota of reservation that the NDC will use every legitimate political, constitutional, legal, and other means to ensure that this flawed verdict, this bogus and fraudulent verdict, will not be accepted today, will not be accepted tomorrow, will be fiercely fought until justice is done, until the true verdict of the people as expressed on 7th December 2020 is attained. Democracy, like I said, we members of parliament summoned the interior minister to come before the house to explain the circumstances under which such numbers of lives were lost during this election. The interior minister, in his response to parliament, indicated that those who shot and killed the Ghanaians were not members of the regular security forces. This is Honorable Ambrose Derry's statement before parliament, that they were not members of the regular security forces that we know. In other words, they were not state police and other security forces. So what does that tell us? It means that there are death squads or militia outside there that are being commissioned to go on the killing spree and shoot and kill and maim Ghanaians. under the watch of Nana Akufo-Addo. So did we go or did we come? Who are they sacking in the evening and is greeting good night? These are people who came to us to tell us that a vigilante law has been passed, and in the shadows they are operating vigilantes. We all know, we have heard and seen people in uniform, and they have even gone to some police station. I'm sure you remember the Zabzu report, where people in shadowy military uniform went to evacuate ballot boxes, attempt to evacuate ballot boxes and BVD machines in Zabzu. I want to take this opportunity to salute the heroic people of the Zabzu area, and especially the Yelzoldana, who is the chief of the paramount chief of the Yelzole traditional area, for standing up to those hoodlums and criminals who came there to attempt to evacuate those selected material. Because Zabzu's result, to all intents and purposes, has not been collated. Yet a declaration has been made. On what basis did the Electoral Commission declare the result for Zabzu? So they were just going to Zabzu to try and evacuate all those machines and go and manipulate those machines and manipulate the ballot boxes. That is the stock in trade of the NPP. And they have been resisted. So, Sana, I want to take this opportunity to salute them and to ask Ghanaians to emulate that shining example. Ghanaians must stand up for our democracy. I am petrified, in all honesty, that if you allow this bogus verdict that has been declared by the Electoral Commission to stick, and Ghanaians, I'm saying it one more time, if we allow this bogus verdict, this fraudulent verdict that Jean Mensa has declared, and allow Nana Akufo-Addo to get an undeserved second term, let's say goodbye to democracy. Because by then, we will not be operating in democracy again. We would have entrenched at the center of our democracy at the Electoral Commission a rigging machine. Electoral Commission chairperson and a deputy brought deliberately to steal the votes cast in an election. But then, in subsequent election, they will perfect the art of stealing and fraud that they are committing in this country. So there will be no true verdict of the people in subsequent elections. So if you don't fight resolutely and put this matter and make sure that the true verdict of the people comes out, I am telling you that, Sana, take it from me, democracy is dead in Ghana. We can never go to any subsequent election and get the true will of the people. This one, they have done it and made mistakes. They will go back again and refine their act of stealing, of creating more fraudulent results, so that in future they can come out with a theft that, if you are not sophisticated enough like them, who are adept at stealing, you will not know how the mechanics for the stealing is done. So I am saying and calling on all Ghanaians. This is not an NDC matter. It is a matter for all Ghanaians. Because, like I said, our democracy is in peril under the Nana Akufo-Addo government. Our democracy is in jeopardy. It's totally on the brink of collapse. And if we don't rise up as Ghanaian people and rescue our democracy from the hands of these people, they will carry us to where we never dreamt of ever going. And so, on that score, Senna, I want to urge that in as much as I don't speak for the NDC party, I will speak for the minority in parliament in NDC. And I can say, I have said it, that not even the grandfather of the person who conceded this election to the NPP has yet been born. I can say without any other, I've seen members of civil society, the so-called moral society and others, the hypocritical moral society, who, when the theft is taking place, they are not interested in the conduct of the thief. The thief comes to take your property. They are not interested in telling the thief to desist from that act. They are telling you, the victim, that you should exercise patience. Let the thief take the thing away and then go to court and go and lodge a complaint. So, Sana, I am saying that they have a duty to themselves. When Allah Almighty, as a Muslim, I know that when Allah Almighty puts you in a position, tomorrow you will stand before Him for a day of accountability. All these people will have a day of accountability. Whether you are a judge, whether you are a parliamentarian, whether you are a president, or whoever you are, you will have a day of accountability. So even as that is done for the hereafter, let us here fight for what is true and proper for us. So I'm urging, without prejudice to what steps the NDC will take, because I've heard people say, if you have the thing, go to court. Why? I'm playing a football match with you and you are showing me which strategy to use or which goalkeeper to put in the post for you to shoot, and the goalkeeper will dive in the wrong direction and the ball will enter the net. I will not. So it is for the NDC to pick and choose whether they want to go to court or not, and when they want to go to court. It is not the business of the MPP to dictate to us what strategy to use. Even in their own case, when they disputed the 2012 election, when did they go to court? They went to court on December 28th. What is today's date? So even by their own calling, and these results have been gazetted even later than what was done at that time. So where is the beef? So, Senator, without prejudice to whatever measure the NDC will take as a party to contest this bogus and fraudulent election results, I want to urge Ghanaians to stand up. Senator, my belief is in the people of Ghana. They are the only people who can rescue us from this despotic regime that is trying to run down our democracy. Senator, it is important for the people of Ghana to stand up. Article 1 of this constitution, 1992 Constitution of this Republic, vests sovereignty in the hands of Ghanaians, and has made it a bounding duty on Ghanaians to stand up and defend our democracy. Any threat to our democracy is the duty of the Ghanaians to stand up. And standing up means the people should come out in their numbers. Hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians should come out in their numbers to show their revulsion against this rape of our democratic process via the imposition of people at the Electoral Commission who are their masters of fraud, perpetrating fraud, to give Nana Akufo-Addo a second term. So I would want in the coming days and others to see an intensification of the street protests. More and more Ghanaians should come out in their thousands, in their hundreds of thousands, and show their revulsion. That is the only language that can convey an unmistakable impression to this regime that listens but does not hear, looks but does not see, that the Ghanaian people will not allow their mandate that they conferred on the 7th of December to be stolen in such a capricious, vexatious, and criminal manner. Then I will come back again and go into the other areas of moral society and others and their duty to the good people of this country.
Thank you, Alhaji Alhaji, who's member of Parliament for Sanyarugu. If you're just joining us, the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji, and we've been joined by Elvis Bota, who is a deputy national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. It's been quite a while since I had him on the show. I'll come to you shortly, but let me just say he came in the presence of Nganimba Kwayaja. I hope I got that right. He's a deputy national youth organizer of the New Patriotic Party. And then we have Madam Teresa Wuni, who is MP elect for Kaikwe North, who also joining us. Thank you. Those of you who are here who usually send me messages and I read for you, today you say it yourselves. So I've identified some of you. Send me a message, I won't read. I'll pass the mic around, you say it yourself. So a big thank you. But you can still join us in the premises of Pan-African Television where we are operating from. Mr. Bota.
Let me take this opportunity to wish all our cherished viewers Merry Christmas and in anticipation a prosperous New Year. It is important also for us to be able to thank God Almighty for the grace and opportunity to have seen this day. We started this year with people. Certainly not all of them have witnessed the light of day. And so for me, what is important is the fact that God has given us life. The nation Ghana, God have continued to sustain and to bless our peace. Yes, but for one or two skirmishes, but we're still in the hands of the good Lord for what has to be done to be done. Everything that has beginning will always have an end. As for our elections, we can always be so much even more grateful to God that in our democracy we have always had peaceful transitions. We have always had peaceful elections, and it is important that the call for the Guinean people to appreciate, that sense of peace and tranquility, becomes even more urgent now. Elections 2020, I guess, is what we are discussing now. And so I want to state from the outset that the elections, the December polls in 2020 was by far peaceful. It was devoid of, too much acrimony in terms of the processes leading to the voting, and even in fact the entire voting itself. I think that where we have some problems have got to do with the system of collation and the understandings and misunderstandings arising from, people, groups, and political parties. However, we have never had a perfect election in the history of this country. We have never had an election devoid of, complaints. We've never had an election devoid of dissatisfaction from losing parties. We operate a political system where people who win elections find everything correct about the elections. And at a situation where people who lose elections propagate all manner of theories that want to suggest that the process was either not credible or the declaration was fraudulent, as we have witnessed in the submission of Honorable ABA Fuseni. But one fact remains, that the Electoral Commission of Ghana remains a respectable entity, not because we have created that name for it, not because we have created that image for it, but because the EC as a commission have consistently and persistently proven to the world that it is an institution with credibility and whose integrity must always be upheld. And so if you have gone through elections up and down, for me, what is happening today does not constitute any form of surprise for me as an individual. It doesn't constitute any safely admit that within our culture. We can safely agree that that particular culture is becoming a part of us. What I think is the problem is when people create a deliberate attempt to want to throw in some forms of misinformation in this country. The issue is that yes, the Ghanaian illiterate population might be high, but that does not subtract the sense of logic from the Ghanaian people. The fact that one is not lettered, the fact that one is not educated, does not mean we are unable, to analyze matters and to logically subject issues to where they should rightfully belong. Elections 2020 have no problem. Elections 2020 was peacefully conducted and declaration was rightfully done. And one person won the election, as has always been the case, and that is no other than the elected president, His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Now, what are we hearing? You hear the NDC and their surrogates propagating theories as though it is a rigged election. I want to go back to the mathematics. The Constitution has been very clear that one is fit to be declared president-elect when you attain 50% of votes plus one. The question I am asking the NDC today is, if they so claim that His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo did not legitimately win the election, what are the statistical basis for saying? The issue of, collation, which was also reported as being quite problematic, by the European Union elections observer missions, which we have all seen. We have CODIO, we have the AU observer mission. They have all passed their verdicts to give some form of credence to, what has been declared by the Electoral Commission. The EU, however, have observed that the collation processes were not as of expected. The collation processes were actually a source of noise, a source of disagreement, as we are witnessing. But the question we ask is, did that report put any particular blame on any particular political system? No. The blame goes to the EC for the purposes and benefit of improving the systems going forward. Given that the complaints about the collation process stands, given that we admit that the collation was not properly done, there were skirmishes about the manner in which collation was done. Has there been any discovery that points to the fact that certain figures were supposed to have been the portion of a particular political party that have not been appropriated to it? No. The practical example that is under consideration is the issue of the Techiman SAF, and that is the practical controversy over the election we are talking about. The NDC as a party have not been able to convince us on statistical basis. If we take the arithmetics into consideration, the 128,018 votes of Techiman South, if dashed out to the NDC, will culminate into a win for them. They have not been able to convince us that. And that mathematics will never stand, because mathematics, as we all know, is fixated. It is the way it is. So His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa was declared with about a little over 51% as victor in this election. Assuming Techiman South becomes the center of our argument, you will realize that the Techiman South 128,000 votes constituted nothing but just about 0.508% of total valid votes cast. That is one thing we must not lose sight and focus on. It constitutes 0.508. You can safely convert it to 2 decimal places to have 0.51. That, if that is subtracted from the win margin of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, it still leaves His Excellency having 50.08%. Now, 0.08% of total, valid votes cast exceeds the one the Constitution talks about as an admonishment addition to the 50% votes in terms of percentage terms. That nominal figure one still gives His Excellency the lead. You see, the entire issue by the NDC have got nothing to do with arithmetics. No, the problem with the NDC fighting in desperation for a return, fighting in desperation for power, is to create an impression in the Ghanaian people that this election was rigged, and to cause chaos in certain groups, in certain settings, just to pave way for their next political bid. It is much of a struggle not for presidency, it is a struggle for parliamentary majority, so that they will be able to elect Speaker of Parliament, so that they will be able to, as it were, handle strength in terms of parliamentary function. I don't have a problem if the opposition parties constitute majority in Parliament, because it's not going to cripple executive in any way. It is only going to improve the system of collaboration. It is only going to improve the systems of checks and balances we have in the country. And I am not convinced that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo have any ill motive in his exercise of executive powers, to the extent that he will be a worried man if he does not have parliamentary, majority. It wouldn't affect his presidency in any way. It wouldn't affect policy in any way. I think that in the interest of the good people of Ghana, not in the interest of the NPP, not in the interest of the NDC, not in the interest of majority or minority in parliament, but in the interest of the good people of Ghana, no matter where majority of parliament shifts to, it works for a better collaboration in our democracy, and it strengthens the very base for the functions of executive powers vis-a-vis that of parliamentary and even judicial powers. So, you see, inciting the youth, inciting the masses, to rise up in violence only confirms their very, pistol blowing in the earlier days preceding this election that they are a revolutionary party. Yes, we all stand up for revolutions when the environment calls for the revolution. You see why Ghanaians are not minding them? You see why all these days of protest, they are not achieving the intended results, which is to spark chaos and to possibly block the swearing-in processes of His Excellency. It is not working because former President Rawlings, of blessed memory, said that a revolution does not succeed unless the environment invites it. That is what is affecting the NDC. So this call and cry that the election has been fraudulent, Jin Mensa have been A, B, and C, we are not seeing it for them. We in the MPP, in 2012, when we lost elections, that we thought and held on to the belief that it was not properly lost, it was not lost on fair basis, Senna, we made similar noise, though we did not go to the extent they are going. There is nothing wrong in demonstrating. It is actually a legal and constitutional means that you can demonstrate to exercise your displeasure. But where your demonstration is not constructive and is either fueling, trouble, fomenting trouble on the streets, or it's one that bears the propensity to plunge the peace of this country into chaos, then it calls for the concerns of the very Ghanaian people the NDC and ABA Fuseni are calling for support. It simply does not add up to fundamental logic, and I think that there is a critical and basic lack of understanding in the manner in which we are going. Suffice it to stand that there are reasonable and credible bases upon which their claims are built on. These claims will not exist in isolation, from relevant evidential basis upon which we can adduce the sense of direction they want to take us to. Now, the relevant state institutions responsible in interpreting say, in adjudicating over the matter, okay, in interrogating these to settle the matter otherwise than the EC is the judicial system, which is the courts. What is scaring the NDC from going to court? He made, an analogy that's want to suggest that even if the NPP's example of 2012 is to be considered, we went to court on 28th December. That is correct. But we did not invite people to war prior to 28th December. We did not. We did not. You may disagree. We did not invite people to war. We did not burn ties on the street. No, we did not burn ties on the street. We did not. We did not run over the streets without evidence. We went to court because we felt we had factual basis for our claims. And it was in the bosoms of the court to decide whether what we have submitted to them was credible or not. The courts have what it takes to assess and ascertain the veracity of the claims. These people who have become, I had always known the NDC will actually become a pressure group when elections are declared. And true to my word, true to our prediction, they have become an unbearable pressure group to the annoyance of the people of Ghana. If there was much credibility in what the NDC is talking about, the over 6 million people who voted for them would have all been up in arms on the streets. That is not happening. Let me tell you that if you seek to overturn justice to your favor on the streets, remember that an equal number of over 6 million people with a percentage increment than what you have had, okay, will equally rise up for the NPP. So the point I am making is that the streets are not the place. If you think you have gotten fundamental basis for which your claims must be heard, sit down, put it into practical sense, go to the court, resort to the appropriate authorities for redress. But you are not thinking of going to court, or if you are thinking of going to court, your actions on the street, your conversations, even on this platform, does not suggest same. The question now we must ask is, what is the practical objective of the NDC? The entire world can stand up against me on this platform on this matter, but the truth is that the mathematics do not add up. The NDC till now have not been able to tell the Ghanaian people that these are the results emanating from constituency A, constituency B, constituency C, which when computed in this manner as they think appropriate, will culminate into a percentage of win for the NDC. And that have not been done. Rigging have happened here. They have swindled figures here to the favor of His Excellency. They have not been able to give evidence of this. So what is this noise about? What is this confusion about? That Mr. Mahama must necessarily in his comeback rule this country again? If you think that there is so much confidence about the man you are talking about, then go to the appropriate authorities. Or we fear that no judge can overturn electoral results in this country. Is that the scare of the NDC? Because we heard this in 2012. We heard this. The respected Kwesi Pratt on this platform, I have read, made mention of same. I do not hold on to that belief, and I will not accept that belief. Our courts have gotten what it takes, that if we satisfy the standard for overturning presidential results or any form of results, they will do so. So it leaves us thinking. He was talking about morality in this discourse. And that is what happens when people are running away from legality. They want to resort to morality. But the issue is that to a very large extent, what is legal must have a good modicum of morals in it. If morality is the bar we should hold on to, if that should be the pillar against which we should lean for the peace and tranquility we want in the aftermath of elections 2020, thus what we see on the screens today, what we see on the streets today, does it rise up to the call for morality? Does it? I will appreciate and will probably support the NDC in whatever demonstrations they are doing if they are able to convince us on arithmetic basis that the elections was won convincingly by His Excellency former President Mahama. So, Senna, I think that even the media have a responsibility, to interrogate this matter properly and let the Ghanaian people know. Till now, you are a media house. Let the NDC, we have gotten representation from at least 2 leading members of the NDC on this platform. Let them convince us. Put a marker board here. Let them convince us that if you add 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 across the 275 constituency, it yields a win for Mahama. That is non-existent. It is not. So all these lamentations and frustrations here and there does not add up. On the question of morality, if you found the Electoral Commission fit enough to have declared you MP-elect for Sanergu, and you think that the same EC is not credible to have declared His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as president, then there is a fundamental question to be asked. There is. I contested the Nadoli seat. I lost. I am of the NPP. If the EC was a surrogate of the NPP, then let them declare all parliamentary candidates of the NPP victors in the elections. So on the one hand, you appreciate the works of the EC. You jubilated when they declared you. On the other hand, you are lamenting over the declaration of defeat for your presidential candidate. Please, let us pay each other all these things. And I think that if what has to be done will culminate into a 10, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo don't have a problem if the court says, Massa, you have not won the election. He will humbly step aside. But not when you think that on the basis of your prejudice, you don't want to go to court because you know that conjecture and speculations is not what the court interrogates. You resort to media houses, you resort to the streets to want to convince the population, to want to convince the people of Ghana that what went on happened wrongly. Attacking the person of Jean Mensah, I don't have any problem with that. If you have basis to attack Jean Mensah, there is no problem. And I am not speaking for the EC, but I am speaking on basis that these people, they are not grounded in facts. And that is why what we are seeing is only grounded in speculations. And I am saying that whether legality or morality becomes the order of the day, speculative justice cannot be handed. It is not possible. They are not the only Ghanaians. They should spare us. The NDCs are not the only Ghanaians. If they want to think that they have a right that must be protected, then they should want to believe that there is a right somewhere that must be respected. In the absence of that, then it means that what we had foreseen as a plan to plunge this country into chaos, if it is not them, then they should create an anarchical state where rules and regulations and laws are disregarded, where public affairs are conducted without recourse to law and order. If that is the society they want to create, they will fail. They will fail. Look at the actions of the minority in parliament. A well thought through action that let's present a petition to the EC as basis for which a determination can be made on what their concerns and grievances are. Perfect. Perfect. What did we see in the practical example of their marching up there? Then you tell us it was a walk. It was not a demonstration. Define to me what a walk is and what a demonstration is here. You could have worn sneakers and jog on the street, and you could have worn sneakers and walk on the street. Then we know that you are up to sports. But you don't get up and go in the manner in which you were going there. Then you are convincing the Ghanaian people that it was a walk and not a demonstration. For which reason you were not mandated under any laws to inform the police about it. I mean, the hypocrisy must end. When truth stands, you do not need the support of 1 million people to speak the truth. You do not. So if their truth stands, it does not take many people rioting on the street. It takes just 1 or 2 people. The Constitution have allowed the president-elect to be sworn in, and that will happen. The same Constitution have created a situation where he who is aggrieved as a presidential candidate go to court, file an elections petition, have the matter adjudicated upon. Look, fact, the NDC lost the elections. If the NDC thinks that it hasn't lost the elections, please present documentations. They had polling agents in every single polling station. These agents have signed documents. If you think that what the EC have published, and I'm talking in terms of the pink sheets, if they think that what the EC published is not right, is not accurate, is not the appropriate document, your agents in every polling station brought you copies of their signed pink sheets. Or the NDC didn't have copies of pink sheets. Or some political parties didn't have copies of pink sheets. go and simply tabulate what they have brought as basis to kick against what you think is fraudulent, which the EC have published. You cannot throw dust in anybody's eyes. It's not possible. It's not going to work. I would appreciate that if they do that, say on the faces of these pink sheets our agents brought to us, they had their tabulation system parallel to that which the EC had. Why till date can't they tell us the figures emanating from those pink sheets they had gathered from their own central tabulation? Why can't they tell us that? In total disagreement to what the EC have said. Why can't they do that? So clearly there is a sense of hypocrisy. There is bad and ill motive in the actions and inactions of the NDC if they cannot come out to tell us that ABC are the basis for which we expected XYZ results, but for interruptions in social polling stations, this figure would have stood. Then we will all interrogate it. Otherwise, I do not think that there is any fraud in these elections until we are proving that there was fraud. Okay. There was no fraud in this election. It wasn't fraudulent. Otherwise, let me go and organize people. Then we also start marching on the street that the results is not fraudulent. Is that what we want in this country? Well-meaning Ghanaians are very much disappointed in the NDC for their actions and inactions on these elections. And if we were to return to the polls today, you would have recorded a very massive decline in the figures they had. Let's go. So you see the test. This is exactly one. Then let's go. Then let's go. We are going nowhere. The constitution allows for one election, and that election happened on the 7th. That election saw ABF Husseini as MP. That election, I'm not running away. If we had that avenue, fine. The avenue is not there. If the avenue has to be created, then we have to resort to parliamentary processes to amend our constitution first. Okay. You understand? And that can't happen now. And so it is an impossibility. But the question here we must ask is, I want to be convinced, like many viewers and people watching us, that the NDC is able to tell us that all this matter is about who won the elections and who didn't win. It is a mathematical situation. Just tell us where the figures are. The rhetorics and the grammar does not matter in this particular instance. Okay, Mr. Kota. Bring the figures, polling station by polling station. Let us interrogate them and let us arrive at a conclusion. Thank you. You are running away from that. Thank you. And you think the point is well made. And so please let us stop the hypocrisy. If we dash the Chiman South to them 0.5, and that is 50 plus 1. After Madam Joyce Muktari, read a few of the messages you are sending to us through Facebook before I come to Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr. Madam?
Good morning to everybody. Merry Christmas to all the well over 6 million Ghanaians who voted not just for John Mahama, for the NDC as well. This morning, I'd like to thank all those also who voted to give the National Democratic Congress majority of seats in Parliament. And I'm happy to see two of our amazing future female parliamentarians here with us this morning. I believe strongly that there is a great opportunity for us to recover largely even some of the seats that are currently in contention, and there is no doubt about that. There can be no doubt really that when you look at the numbers, the National Democratic Congress and John Dramani Mahama comfortably won this election. Look at the trends in Ghana since 1992. When have we had a situation where you can have a political party that gets at least 140 seats in Parliament? In fact, even 141, save for the myriad and raft of efforts and force that was used literally to push and force some individual members of Parliament out of the seats. We watched the video of Senate West. I believe it is the reasons why every single Ghanaian, even some of those who did not vote for the NDC, are convinced that these elections have been rigged, and rigged largely in favor of the MPP. John Dramani Mahama is one of those individuals, everybody knows him. I've met a few individuals who have asked me, but this is a man who conceded happily even as an incumbent in 2016. Why would he decide not to concede? And I recall that even in times past, John Mahama had always indicated that he would not in any way accept a flawed election. Look at the antecedent even to the appointment of the current commissioners of the Electoral Commission. I mean, Jean Mensah tried very well. I mean, let's give her some credit. for making every effort to secure a second term for the New Patriotic Party and for President Akufo-Addo. Even in that attempt, she failed woefully in the public glare. Look, the whole world is watching Ghana. The very early and first declaration, even the idea that they were willing to give the results in the space of 24 hours, did not make sense to a lot of people. In any case, we were in a COVID situation. We were actually going to be spacing out and creating some efforts to allow for everybody to vote. It meant that the queues would be longer and probably the process would take even much longer. But this was an EC that was convinced that in all of the efforts and ideas they had put together, they were going to deliver the results in a very short space of time. And you can tell that this is an EC commissioner who loves to record first. Even when you just walk past her, she will quickly come up and say, this is the first time this is happening. Very elaborate ideas. But we also know that the EC has come a long way. In some cases, the EC has reformed itself. In other cases, the EC has been forced through processes of legal approaches to reform itself. Look at the conversations that even characterized the initial attempts to secure a new voter register. We all now know that that is actually probably a failed attempt. What at all did the register actually achieve? Were you convinced that there were any ghost names really? That register was bloated? Did they actually succeed in convincing anybody? Look at the challenges even to do with the exhibition of the register. Be that as it may, and with all the efforts to thwart every effort by the National Democratic Congress, we secured the mandate of the Ghanaian people to rule this country. All the attempts by the EC and aficionados of the New Patriotic Party and government, for example, to subvert the will of the people is not going to work. In any case, under the 1992 Constitution, we are actually at liberty, freedom to associate, freedom to demonstrate. Likewise, there's a freedom for you to seek legal redress, and we all know that. It will not be the first time that the NDC will be going to court. It will certainly not be the last time. And President Mahama has indicated categorically that he will expect us to use all lawful and peaceful means. I'm sure we all recall what happened in Thailand in 2015. You remember the leadership led by the General Secretary of the party himself, Honorable Asiedun Ketia. At the time, President Mahama was in office. Even President Mahama himself called on the security agencies to do everything in their power to ensure that there was peace. In Atebubu, for example, a district chief executive was sacked after the riots that took place. This is when a leader knows that something that has gone on is not right and is willing to seek redress or bring about change, or to ensure that he brings his voice to bear on the process. I have personally observed all the innings and outings, and I've looked at all the fits and sparks that are going on. I have no doubt in my mind that most of the individuals who were used to subvert the will of the people in some constituencies in particular, where there was no collation, ballot boxes were snatched, even some vehicles with GV registration numbers were sent that were not Electoral Commission vehicles to pick up and hijack ballots and what have you. These were all attempts that were made after the ruling government realized that indeed they had become the underdog, that most of the attempts and threats had failed to work, and that Ghanaians were still willing to vote for change. There is nobody in this room who has any doubts that Ghanaians indeed went out there to vote for change. The MPP arrived in 2016 with 63 members of parliament, higher than the NDC's 106. It was one of those majorities that had been rarely seen. It was so emphatic that irrespective of all the things and fallout that happened, we were bound to accept the declaration by the EC. The EC itself in its declaration, even on December 9th, had a conclusion that the elections were actually over 100%. Whether it's even by 1%, 0.2 or whatever, but at least it was 100.03. That within itself leaves enormous room for concern. The various errors and corrections that have been made since then, numbering about 6, within itself leaves a lot to be desired. Legally, any Ghanaian can go to court to challenge a declaration that was fraught with numerical and arithmetic challenges, numbers that simply did not add up and did not make sense. In any case, take, for example, the parliamentary seats that are outstanding. People did not just go there to vote for the member of parliament. They also cast their ballot for the presidential candidates. So if, for example, there's a dispute over a parliamentary outcome, what happened to most of the numbers for the presidential? And in most of the cases that are disputed, the president or the flag bearer of the NDC won comfortably in those places. What has happened to all those numbers? You know, over the weeks, I've actually thought through a lot of these things that have happened. I've actually commented extensively on my various handles about some of these matters. The right to vote is actually almost as serious as our right to live. And the right of our ballots or our votes to be protected and preserved is an inalienable right. And it's a right that attaches to every Ghanaian citizen, and especially for political parties such as ours. The NDC has categorically challenged utterances, challenged the biases, challenged the approach even of the whole of the EC currently, as currently composed, to efforts at IPAC, to efforts at the advisory committee that were set up, all sorts of efforts even to ensure the EC's own transparency and probity have all failed. The EC has adamantly refused even to be accountable to the taxpayer who put them there, and sponsors and supports all their efforts. I mean, let's all take, for example, what happened to the minority in parliament recently. I mean, they were on a peaceful walk. I don't remember that they were carrying any cudgels or had any whatever artifacts or anything really. They were not making noise. They were actually dressed ordinarily for work. They were not even necessarily wearing party attire or paraphernalia. But this was the minority in parliament. A parliament that has, in the last 4 years, worked and cooperated with government on all of its policies and issues that have arrived before it in the House. But they were sent military and security agencies to forcibly prevent them. And I saw the level of force that was used. We all saw what happened in Sefiri or so. There's video evidence. The General Secretary has visited all of these areas where there are issues to do with collation. In most of those places, there was no consensus. There was no collation. And you can see that every effort is being made to claw back at the numbers that the NDC has garnered by way of parliamentary seats currently. And the use of I even saw a security agent or officer who had a beard. And people are asking, how is that possible? Because it's actually a very rare occurrence. So there can be no doubt that people are right when they intimate that some other persons have actually infiltrated the forces. Indeed, the also West Wagon report actually revealed that there were persons in those uniforms that were really hooligans and bandits and not necessarily from the security agencies. The IGP himself had cause at a point to come out even to indicate the right uniform of his men. Indeed, we also know the national security operatives are normally not used even in these circumstances. It is the police largely. But for the first time, we had military deployed, especially in the Volta region and on our streets everywhere. There was every effort to intimidate and suppress voters, especially in NDC strongholds. But thanks be to God, we still prevailed. And even after we prevailed, now they go back and still use even higher forces to ensure that the will of the people, even within our parliamentary areas, is also becoming a problem. I have watched how Senate West played out. I am very hopeful that the party is conducting its own investigations. Remember that it doesn't matter what exercise is going on. There are actually well over 6 million Ghanaians who are in support of every decision that is currently being made by the NDC to ensure a reversal, to ensure that the right thing is done, above all to ensure that the EC is itself accountable to the people for whom they were put there to undertake their duties. They are obliged by law, irrespective of their independence, to be transparent. I mean, this was even the very first time I saw an election going on. And between the 7th and the 8th, there were no updates. We heard absolutely nothing. There was total silence. And then suddenly we heard that there was going to be a declaration. How many of us know that the NDC even submitted a petition to the EC a few hours before the declaration was made, highlighting some critical issues, especially matters to do with Echiman South, to do with Sene and Upper Denchira West. Eventually, these are all seats that we won. Sene West is now in the bag. Upper Denchira West has been won. We are looking at what will happen in Sefiri also, where a whole ballot box was taken away. And a particular polling station, no collation was done. And we know that that particular polling station, like what happened in Sene West, is actually a stronghold of the NDC. So, you know, there are all of these things that have come up and people have observed them. And, you know, there is a certain effort, every effort, by the New Patriotic Party, led by President Akufo-Addo himself, to prevent this declaration of the NDC as having won majority of the seats in Parliament, knowing very well what the repercussions would be and the eventual outcome that this might even have, even a bearing even on the outcome of the presidential race. Because certainly, even if you were to be adjudged as the winners of the majority in Parliament, take or leave it, that the presidency even, President Akufo-Addo is indeed president of Ghana. How does that make him look? For the first time, we have a hung parliament. I believe that any human being who is worth his salt, even that alone, challenges and questions your legitimacy. More than anything, it is a trend and a convention that has been established that whenever you find a political party that garners majority of the seats, exactly, there will be a similar groundswell for the presidential as well. But unfortunately, on this occasion, we are being told that the conventions no longer hold, that the numbers as we've known them historically should no longer be evidence of the fact that a particular presidential candidate has an edge over another. The EC itself haven't made all these corrections, and I am not in any way mathematically inclined, but I've listened to many of the orders that have taken place so far, the numbers of the overvotes, the pardon. You wonder where all these things appeared from. Even in some cases, the ink, instead of the normal one that we're all used to, there were these yellow ones in some of the boxes. So take, for example, those who were not conversant with these things, where a presiding officer himself is not as objective as he should be. So there is every exercise that I believe that the EC has itself undertaken by its conduct, by its own omissions, by certain activities that are taking place, that it was all in an effort to make the MPP win this election. And having failed that, there's now even an effort to go after the NDC and to secure and claw back some of the seats that we have actually comfortably won. Look at Okaiko North, for example. For 12 years, let's see, 24 years, fantastic, thanks for the correction, was held by the MPP. And look at the effort that Teresa put in. Why would you think that in a place like Greater Accra, which is probably one of the peri-urban regions we have in Ghana, would give the NDC 19 seats in Parliament, 20 seats in Parliament? You know, 20 seats in Parliament in Greater Accra alone. And look at the map even on the EC's own website. It describes how broad-based the National Democratic Congress is in every part of Ghana, even in the eastern region. How is it possible then that we could perform like this across the country in the 16 regions? Even of the regions that were all created and were told that they should be expressing their gratitude to President Akufo-Addo for giving them regions, something that is guaranteed and enshrined by the Constitution itself. What happened even in those areas and in those regions? They lost completely. So on what legs are they standing? Even if we are looking at it in terms of an equitable distribution, how is it then possible that mathematically we can have a situation where the president is said to have won the election by the number of votes that they are actually referring to? I think that the NDC has done a yeoman's job. I think that many Ghanaians bought into our message. The People's Manifesto worked beautifully for us. It has actually taken us from 106 to 141 in Parliament. We will continue to use every lawful means available to fight for our rights, to fight for our voices to be heard, to ensure that the right thing is done irrespective. And in fact, don't forget that even if the president is sworn in on January 07, there can be no prejudice to the outcome of any matter if we seek legal redress and John Mahama is adjudged as having won this election, or that there's a rerun and John Mahama wins. Actually, it does nothing to anybody. All it means is that President Akufo-Addo, even if he was sworn in, has lost. What we should hope for is that we have a situation where our courts have the moral obligation. Our courts will be willing to look at the evidence and the preponderance of probabilities and adjudge that indeed, having garnered this number of seats and this number of votes across the country, there can be no doubt that the NDC and its candidate should actually emerge winners of this last election. It is what we are actually eventually hoping for. I know that certainly our opponents will go on, but of course, court is just one of the remedies that are available to us. But of course, our right also to demonstrate should be something that we are entitled to. You know, I watched how the Greater Accra Regional Chairman was actually taken to court. There's currently an injunction even on the fact that no protest can take place in Greater Accra. And the police has actually adopted this process and even come and give us correspondence in that regard. Why would that even be limited to Greater Accra if indeed they have every right and every fair reason to think that people should not go out there and demonstrate? In any case, it is our responsibility to notify the police. And actually, they must have very good grounds to decline these permits. So far, I have not heard that the police have given any good grounds or otherwise. Take, for example, what happened even in the previous years with Let My Vote Count and all of these people. I don't remember the NDC at any point in time declining those permits or even stopping everybody or going to court to stop the processes. People are deeply aggrieved by what has happened. People are very unhappy by what has happened. People are even unhappier that their right even to go out there and demonstrate has become a reason or a contentious issue. And I think that is what we should be fighting. How many more of our rights are we going to be allowing government to chip away? Government is a trustee for all of us. So if suddenly we have a government that used to preach the rule of law, and I listened to Senior ABA Husseini speak to all the others that were said in the past, that we can no longer even hold true. I remember when the Akwetia by-election violence occurred, then candidate Akufo-Addo, we all recall what he said. The same person, the purveyor of the rule of law, is currently in charge. And suddenly, every day, we are using the same rule of law to gag dissent, to gag opposition, and to stop the will of the people from manifesting in whatever way that it chooses. You know, we should thank the good Lord that John Dramani Mahama is actually one of those individuals, a very, very peaceful individual, a quintessential Democrat, a man who believes really in the cause of Ghana. So most often than not, he's the individual who will want us to do everything within a certain lawful or legal context. Unlike the story where you would say that the child should be divided into two so that both of us would lose, he would want the main to be preserved so that eventually we can still find better ways to exercise our rights as we deem fit. I have no doubt that the NDC did a great job, did a fantastic job, that Ghanaians have nothing against the NDC actually emerging as the winner of the 2020 election. That is not in doubt. And everybody should disabuse their minds of that fact. In fact, who actually occupies Accra? Accra has the largest in terms of voters registered in the country. So if Accra can give the NDC 20 seats, that should be a reflection of a microcosm of what the views of Ghanaians actually are. For the remaining parliamentary seats that are now in dispute, we must all gather whatever evidence we can find. We must seek redress. I listened to the General Secretary a few days ago, who even spoke to the fact that in the past, whenever there were disputes regarding outcomes where there's no collation, there's a need for a rerun, there was a convention that had emerged, that the EC itself will supervise this without them necessarily going to court. I have no doubt in my mind that with the current positioning of the EC, these are not conventions that will ever be upheld. The only way out is for us to go to court and seek legal redress. The Techiman South issue has actually become our clarion call. It is evidence of what should not happen in any peaceful election. It is how we should not want to see future. I can tell that many people are currently slightly uncomfortable, if not overly uncomfortable, with coming events, which we can see are actually casting their shadows. Our rights are enshrined, our rights are inalienable. As citizens, we must demand accountability from government. Above all, the EC is actually set up by taxpayers' money. For all the millions the taxpayers gave to support this election, what really has the EC given to the people of Ghana? They could not even, for crying out aloud, have a declaration without issues. And what do we see now? They issue a statement, then you come the next day, so it's fake news. We had all these parliamentary results that had actually come and were floating in the system that had many errors in them. Even in some cases, the numbers of persons, like for example, in Madame's constituency, there are a lot more numbers on the list than even contested. In Shiaso or something, the guy who actually believed that he had lost was actually named as a winner. And the next thing we're told that, oh, this is all fake news. I think suddenly fake news has become a legitimate way even of avoidance. When you make a mistake and you come out publicly with something that is fraught with issues, the only thing you can say is that it's fake news. So when do we know something that is fake and something that is lawful, something that is rightful? These are all matters that we need. But above all, I am yet to hear President Akufo-Addo even speak to all of these issues. Not a word. You know, absolutely just silence. So the question you ask is that currently, really, who is in charge of this country? You understand? And I believe that for any government to overlook the fact that the largest opposition party has a huge following across this country and decide that you can actually trample on all of these voices and get away with it is within itself innocuous. It's a proposition that is totally untenable. It doesn't matter how many times our opponents say that we should go to court or come back from court. To come down from 63 seats to where they are now fighting with us over one is even laughable and leaves a lot to be desired. It just tells you that this government has failed and lost completely. To be honest, that they even go out there and defend this is mind-boggling. You know, sometimes I just wonder, is it just, yes, well, for me, why would we even continue to do these things? I mean, we've just come out of the recent elections in the United States of America, the world's own model for democracy. When did we ever hear from their electoral college? They were quiet. There were people communicating all over the place. The processes were allowed to go through. They went to court in some cases. They went where, name it. The president did just about everything that was legally possible or even unlawfully possible. But the will of the people was very strong. At some point, he had even started to deceive himself that people will come out and demonstrate against the outcome of this so-called flawed election. Nothing happened. Suddenly, his own government and his own appointees started to leave. Then eventually, his own representatives in the Senate came out to disassociate themselves from him. Even the Attorney General resigned. I remember President Obama calling on Ghanaians to build strong institutions, not strong men and women. At a moment like this, you would wish that we had stronger institutions, that the Electoral Commission itself was actually more defensive of its independence than working as an appendage of the ruling government. Because when you talk about the independence of an institution, it is right from zero to the top. It is not just in the way you proclaim your independence. It should be seen even in how you go about your duties as an independent constitutional body. I think strongly that in this particular cycle, I have seen that the EC itself has not been able to be forthcoming. Even the pronouncements of some of the commissioners leaves a lot to be desired. It is for this and many other reasons, as we are all spoken to, that I look forward to the NDC clawing back whatever has been wrongfully taken away from us as a party. I know some of our PCs are real fighters. They will fight tooth and nail. And Grace is waving at me. She's one of them. You know, so every time the conversations come up around the legal committee tables, I tell them, some of them are fighters. They will fight tooth and nail for the right things to be done. The idea should not be just because you want to be in parliament or because you believe that you want to secure your seat. It is to ensure that this is not done to any other individual who contests for a seat. Okay. That if people have contested and that they have won the election, it must count. It doesn't matter how long it will take. And I'm sure we are following what happened in the Sal areas, in the Lolobi areas in particular, where the Venerable Shakichi Kata has decided to take it upon himself to bring a human rights issue because they were actually told on the 6th, a day, in fact, in the evening about 4 p.m. was when the communication came. But we also know that in the past when this has happened, what is the practice? The convention is that you will continue to vote wherever it is you are registered to vote. but to come out openly to indicate that a certain category of persons, through no fault of theirs, should be unable to cast their ballots because of a creation that is not within their purview to do, but something that the state itself had failed to do. That also leaves a lot to be desired. I know that there is a lot of individuals in this society who are very upright, people who want to see the right thing done. We will continue to demonstrate it's our right so to do. We will continue to protest. It is within our rights to do that. We will also continue to seek legal redress. And our lawyers are very, very active. We've been around all the constituencies where we've had challenges, and they are working day and night to be sure that we file all the processes in good time, that we are certain that the laws will work not just for the NDC, but work for our individual parliamentary candidates who are going through all of, imagine the money they have to spend after what they went through even for the election cycle. I have no doubt that the NDC garnered enough votes to be declared winners of this past election.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Joyce Bawa Mokhtari. I've just been, there's an indication that we are live on Benya 105.7 FM and Reach 98.7 FM, both in the central region. I see Kwesi Dawood here, so I understand where the information is coming from. Wonderful to see you, by the way. Mr. Pratt. I've amended my position, so I take you first.
You see, all of you, those of you here, and those of you at home, those of you on Facebook and everywhere, can see for yourselves that this morning the set for Alhaji and Alhaji is adorned by pictures of great men and women of Africa. See your Sajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. You can see Patrice Lumumba of the Congo. You can see Winnie Mandela and many more. What all of these people have in common is that they lived and fought for our people, the people of Ghana and Africa, to be able to choose their own leaders in freedom. All the great men and women of Africa, including Toussaint Louverture, including Amilcar Cabral, including Nelson Mandela, including Martin Luther King, lived and died so that our people can freely elect their own leaders. We cannot disrespect these leaders of ours. We have a duty to continue the battles which were waged by Sergeant Ajete, Corporal Atipo, Jenkrejewu, Kodobotio, and others. It is our responsibility to carry this battle on till its very logical conclusion. The struggle for our independence was a struggle to liberate us, to enable us to choose our own leaders freely and in a democratic atmosphere. Nobody, no institution, no power can deny the people of Ghana the right to elect their own leaders and freely. And this is a message which has to go to everybody. We are ready to become the new Kwame Nkrumahs of Africa. We are ready to become the new Amilcar Cabrals of Africa. Yes. We are ready to become the Martin Luther Kings of the United States of America. And no force can stop that. Those who are dreaming dreams of behaving like Emperor Bokassa, those who are dreaming dreams of becoming the Idi Amins of our world, those who are dreaming dreams of becoming the new colonial enterprise must shake themselves out of their sleep. Because if they don't, the people of Ghana and the people of Africa will wake them up from their sleep and they will see the reality. And the reality is that all of our people insist on their rights to elect their leaders freely, without let or hindrance. I want anybody here or anywhere in the world to show me one institution and one person who disagrees that this election results are flawed. There's none. And I mean it. The Electoral Commission itself has made 6 changes to the initial declaration. If the declarations are correct, why do they keep making changes every day to the results that they themselves declared? Today, as we speak here, the Gazette done by the Electoral Commission is so full of errors, and I boldly predict that that is also going to change. So the Electoral Commission itself admits that something is wrong with the results that they declared, even the Electoral Commission. The New Patriotic Party, which claims to have won the election itself, is saying that there are so many things wrong with the election results. The New Patriotic Party has self-noticed that it is going to contest 7 of the parliamentary results declared so far. 7, not 1, not 2, not 3, 7. So we have a situation where everybody agrees that these results are not correct, including the Electoral Commission itself and the New Patriotic Party. Now, if all of us agree that these election results are not correct, why are we quibbling? Why are we dancing around and fooling around? Well, we should confront the truth. And I hear our brothers and sisters of the New Patriotic Party always saying that, oh, they should go to court, they should go to court, and they should go to court. Have they gone to court? Because they're also telling us that they have problems with 7 constituencies. Have they gone to court? No. And if they haven't gone to court, what moral authority do they have to be calling people to go to court when they themselves are refusing to go to court? I think we should all get one thing clear. The 1992 Constitution, which is the fundamental law of Ghana, says that all the people of Ghana have a responsibility to resist any attempt to subvert the Constitution. And the Constitution does not tell us that when people subvert the Constitution, we should go to court. It doesn't say so. It says we should do everything and anything in our power to resist oppressors' rule and to ensure that this Constitution is never subverted. The Constitution itself tells us that every other law in this country, including laws passed by Parliament, are inferior to the Constitution. The Constitution says very clearly that every other law is inferior to the Constitution itself. So CI community is inferior to the Constitution. And the Constitution's injunction on us is that anytime, anybody, any force tries to subvert the Constitution, and subverting the Constitution primarily begin to understand that clearly. Now we are being told that anybody who thinks that there's something wrong with the election should bring the evidence. Now the people who talk like this, where have they been this last 2 weeks? I mean, it's as if they've been in cuckoo's land somewhere. They are not listening to radio, they are not watching television, they are not reading newspapers, and they themselves have heads filled with straw. That's what they are telling us. Because over the last 2 weeks, the evidence is everywhere. Everybody has been saying it. I have said my part. Even the Electoral Commission itself has been providing evidence that it didn't do a good job. Anytime the Electoral Commission changes its declaration, it is providing evidence that it didn't do a good job. Anytime the New Patriotic Party says it has problems with the results of the election, it is providing evidence. Why? On this very station, Pan-African Television, which is not endowed with the best mathematicians in the world, we simply took the declaration of the Electoral Commission and added the percentages. And it was more than 100%. What evidence do you need again? That the EC can actually declare the results in excess of 100%. And he said you need evidence. You know, it is my friend ABA Fuseni who has been saying that, look, if the person is pretending to be asleep, it is pretending to be dead. No matter what you do, you can't wake the person up. These people are pretending to be dead. They are not dead, they are awake. Election results, which amounts to more than 100%, is an impossibility. It can never happen. If it happens, it means something is gone wrong. You don't need any more evidence to prove that. Why? If you count election results in any polling station, in any constituency, in any district, in any region, and the number of people who voted are more than the number of people who registered, it means that some magic has happened there. Something magical has happened, something which defies logic, something which defies sense has happened in that constituency. What evidence do you want again? So this foolish talk, absolutely foolish talk of provide evidence in the face of the evidence is only meant to muddy the situation. And only those who have no respect for the Ghanaian people can be saying those things. Because if you accept that the people of Ghana can think, if you accept that the people of Ghana know the truth and can find the truth, if you accept that the people of Ghana can do simple mathematics and so on, you would not stand in front of them and tell them that no evidence has been produced when you yourself are raising the evidence like a placard. What is this? You know, this election is like no other in my life. And I dare say it's like no other election in Ghana. From 1951 to today, we have never had an election like this. Now, why do I say so? There is an election. It is finished. Some people have been declared winners. They cannot even jubilate. And those who have been declared losers are not worried at all. In fact, they are being energized every day. What an extraordinary election. This is an extraordinary election by any standard. Look, since 1951, this is perhaps the only election that we have held that everybody, including the Electoral Commission, agrees that there is something fundamentally wrong with this election. This is the only election which we have held in which the laws of Ghana have been trampled under the feet of an incompetent, reckless, fraudulent. I choose my own words. Electoral administration. And listen, when the Electoral Commission, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission came to declare the results, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission told all of us that there is only one result outstanding. Only one. And that if they added all those votes in that constituency to the votes of the presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, it would not make any difference. Soon after that, the Electoral Commission came to us and said, oh, we are very sorry. We forgot to add the votes from another constituency. So, please. So, the question is, if you add the total votes in these two constituencies to President John Dramani Mahama, Would that change anything? That's the question. The question is, or the supposition is, that what the Electoral Commission told us that there was only one constituency outstanding was a lie. Clear lie. Now, was it a deliberate lie? Was it a mistake? Whatever it is, it affected the results which were announced on that day. December 9th. It affected it in substantial ways. Then the Electoral Commission continued to make changes in its own declaration. And every time it made changes in its own declaration, it told us that, oh, as for the percentages, they will remain the same. How do you change unequal figures, and the percentages remain the same? The only way percentages can remain the same is if indeed all of them had the same additional votes. 10 to John Dramani Mahama, 10 to Nana Akufo-Addo, 10 to Ivor Green Street, 10 to Kominini and Kominini. But if the votes that were being added were unequal and even and so on, how do you come to the same percentages? You know, the other time I was having a conversation with my friends, and I remember a world-famous magician. I'm sure some of you know that magician. Houdini. Our Electoral Commission has beaten Houdini to the game of magic computer. Because everything they have done defies logic. It doesn't make sense. Mathematics doesn't quite answer anything that they have done. All kinds of science cannot lead us to the conclusions that this Electoral Commission is making. And look, right now, where we are today, my brothers and sisters, I can tell you honestly, from the bottom of my heart, and I speak honestly, where we are today, all of us should be working for de-escalation of political tensions. Because if we do not work for the de-escalation of political tension, this country will be in serious trouble. What happened in other countries leading to war pales into insignificance if you compare that to what is happening in Ghana today. And that is why our political leaders have to be sensible. And that is why our political leaders have to watch their mouth and what they say. Over the last 1 week, I've been thoroughly disgusted by statements attributed to senior political figures in our country. I have sat on television and watched prominent politicians threatening to burn down the house of Mr. Gbevlo Latte, Lieutenant Colonel Gbevlo Latte, former head of national security, and threatening to burn him to ashes, and threatening to burn former President John Dramani Mahama alive. Where in this world would these statements be tolerated except in banana republics? I cannot believe it. That in Ghana today, people can sit on television and claim and proclaim that they will burn a former president alive and that they have surveyed and know where his house is. They can tell the Latte that we know your house is in East Legon. We know where it is. We'll burn it down and so on. And nothing happens. What kind of country are we building? Is this the kind of country that Kwame Nkrumah fought for? No. And I've heard another leading politician sitting on television and saying that the people of Ashanti should locate the houses of NDC members and get ready to attack them, to kill them. And And our security services said they have never heard this. They don't know about it. We are heading towards Armageddon. We are heading towards Armageddon. If our leaders refuse to think, and if our leaders focus all their energies and attention on how to grab power and keep it forever, our leaders must know that nobody has succeeded in seizing the people's power and keeping it forever. It will never happen in Ghana. It has never happened anywhere in the world. It will never happen. It is only daydreamers who think that they can hang on to power forever. It is not possible. And these blatant threats of murder, of acid, and so on, will do no good to the MPP, it will do no good to the NDC, and it will do no good to members of other political parties. And all of us have to come together to fight, to struggle, to restore sanity in our country, to build that new country in which mad men and women will not be allowed television space to be threatening to kill and to burn. This country has come to a point where our men and women, our youth and adults, our aged and the young, have to stand up and be counted in the effort to restore sanity to the nation. Because if we don't, what are we going to get? Already, our people are struggling, our people are suffering under truly burdensome conditions. This month, the price of petrol has been increased again. This month, we are being told that free water supply has come to an end, even though COVID has not died yet. You understand? And we are hearing stories of what goodies were presented to the security services. And whether or not they have been withdrawn or not, it's there for all of us to know. There are so many of our people who have no access to good drinking water. There are so many of our people who have no access to the kind of education our leaders enjoy for their children. Let's not add more suffering to the suffering that they are already enduring. And the only way to do that is for us to demonstrate respect for ourselves. You know, all these organizations, name them, NGOs, religious bodies and so on, they are all calling for peace. Fine, that is what they want, peace. They don't care about justice, no problem, they want peace. Let them talk about peace. They all want peace. They say, let us bring about peace and so on. How do we bring about peace if we are not showing respect to each other? The other day, I heard of one of the leaders of the political parties actually refer to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, former President of the Republic of Ghana, as a cry baby. Cry baby. How do you negotiate with a cry baby? How do you have discussions with a cry baby? So if he's a cry baby, then let him continue crying like a baby. And let us see what is likely to happen in this country. Look, I've seen many dictators in my lifetime. Seen many dictators in my lifetime. Not once did I hear or read that Emperor Bokassa of Central African Republic had banned demonstrations in the capital, Bangui. Not once. Not once did I hear that Idi Amin had banned demonstrations in Kampala. Now, we have come to the destination where we are banning demonstrations. We are banning the right of citizens to free expression. My goodness. I pity my friend. I pity my friend. I truly, really pity my friend, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Nana, please don't allow anybody to send you off on this note of banning demonstrations. It doesn't fit your profile. It doesn't fit anything that any Ghanaian thought you were. If at the end of your term you are banning demonstrations, it's a huge blot on everything you've done before. And that's why I feel very sad for you. Nana, that's why I feel extremely sad for you. Is this how Nana Akufo-Addo is going to end? And I think that, look, it is important for Nana Akufo-Addo to stand up himself and be counted, even in his party, to demonstrate to the hawks in his party that is not what they want him to look like. And that is not going to tolerate a situation where his friends and members of his party are calling for the killing of others and the burning of others and so on. Nana Akufo-Addo must stand up to be counted. Not all of his integrity is lost. He still has some left. He still has some integrity left. And it is his duty to himself and to his family to redeem what is left. Where we are going is dangerous. It is terrible. It is heinous. It is all the adjectives you can find in the world which point to a bleak and dangerous future for all of us in Ghana. Look, there are some machinations going on. And everybody looking at what is happening can tell what is intended. This game of I got 1, you got 2, oh no, add 2 to 1, add 4 to 5, and so on. Going on about parliamentary seats is disgraceful in the extreme. Because it simply shows how badly the New Patriotic Party performed in the last elections. With a majority of more than 60 votes, they are now doing add 1. No, subtract 2. No, 1.5, and so on. What has happened? A tsunami has taken place in our country. Tsunami has already taken place in our country. That is what this indicates. But everybody can tell that all of these machinations, how do they say machinations, are about who the new Speaker of Parliament would be. And to my shock, utter shock, I heard a very prominent member of the New Patriotic Party actually saying that, oh, if we manage to retain the majority up to January 7th, then we can elect the Speaker. And after January 7th, even if the courts decide that we don't have the majority and we are in the minority, we will still have the Speaker. Because the regulations in Parliament say that to remove the Speaker, you need 2/3 of the votes in Parliament. Who thinks like this? Who thinks like this? Only a criminal can think like this. Because anybody thinking like this is actually plotting to steal the mandate of the people. If you know what the mandate of the people is, and you are trying to reshape the mandate so that you can elect a speaker and so that you can apply the law to keep the speaker there in spite of the people's wish, you are nothing but a bloody thief. You are worse than the thief who steals cassava. You are a criminal. The thief who steals the fowl in the village and so on is a small thief. The thief who steals the mandate of the people is a huge, big thief. How can you be thinking like that? And in any case, who told them that the regulations of Parliament are sacrosanct? and that the regulations of Parliament supersede the national constitution. Who told them that? You know, we're all hearing this mantra of go to court, go to court, go to court, as if the court is the final destination of everything. It is not true. I tell you today that the judiciary is not the final destination of the final arbiter in all disputes. Sovereignty still resides in the people of Ghana and not in the institutions established by the people. When the people establish institutions, they establish those institutions because all of us cannot go and sit in Flagstaff House and become president. You can't have 30 million presidents. So we decide to have one, and we give that president our mandate, our sovereignty, to act on our behalf. At any time, any day, if that president is not acting according to what we wish, we will sack that president. It is our right. That is why the Constitution itself has provisions for impeachment in the Constitution. Look, all of us cannot sit on election petitions. You can't construct any meeting place where 30 million people can go and sit and advocate on election petitions. That is why, in our wisdom, we wrote a constitution in which we said the Supreme Court must do that on our behalf. So when the Supreme Court pronounces judgment, it is doing that in our name and on our behalf. The Supreme Court does not have any powers or any authority beyond the authority that we give to the Supreme Court. And at the theoretical level, let's get this thing straight. Tomorrow, if the majority of the people of Ghana so wish, we can begin processes which actually remove some of the powers of the president, of parliament, and of the Supreme Court. The Constitution gives us that right. If we can garner two-thirds majority in a referendum, we can change the judiciary. If we can garner two-thirds majority in a referendum, we can change the supreme law of the land, which is even the Constitution itself. You understand? So let nobody begin to think that because they have been appointed to public places of authority and so on, they can begin to play God. Nobody will be allowed to play God in Ghana. Nobody will be allowed to play God in Ghana. And all of us, including the truck driver, including the Okada rider, including the watchman, including the policeman and so on, all of us know what is fair and we know what is unfair. And we expect the institutions that we have set for ourselves to be fair. And we expect the institutions that we have set for ourselves to seek justice. To seek justice for everybody and anybody. You know, our security services have come under intense scrutiny and sometimes condemnation. But I think it is important for us to be fair to our security services. The police, the armed forces, the customs and excise, they are populated by people like you and I. They are not different from us. Their verdict has also been stolen. It is not only our verdict that has been stolen, their verdict has also been stolen. So they are not our enemies. They are indeed our friends. They are not just our friends, they are our best friends, and they have demonstrated it. Throughout the elections, all the fake policemen and soldiers who were caught, who caught them? Did you catch them? You didn't. They were caught by policemen and soldiers. Those policemen and soldiers who caught these fake policemen and fake soldiers and so on, they are like you and I. They are not on the side of oppression. They are on the side of liberty. They are on the side of truth. And they are on the side of fairness. Now look at the election results. Just hang on a moment and look at the election results. Who won Bemaka? Who won Michel Camp? Who won the police barracks? That should tell you something. And that should tell you that policemen and women, soldiers and so on, members of the security forces are not enemies of democracy, but friends of the broad democratic movement. And that if they are called upon, they would act in good conscience and they would act to uphold the dignity of the institutions. You know something? Me, sitting here today, I do not want any unconstitutional disruption of our governance system. Because I've seen it before. I've seen what happened to our mothers and sisters who were stripped naked and whipped on the streets. I don't want that to happen again. I know that at a certain time in our history, 246 people simply disappeared. I don't want that to happen again. I live under curfew, 6 to 6. I don't want that to happen again. I want all of us to work together to build a peaceful and democratic society. A society in which no child will go to bed on an empty stomach. I want all of us to build that peaceful and democratic society in which our leaders do not prescribe for our children free SHS and send their children abroad to school. I want to have that situation where under Nkrumah, all his ministers send their children to the same public schools that the farmer sent his children to. That's the kind of society I want to see built. But you see, those who think that they can create a militia whose members wear police uniforms and military uniforms and wear earrings and wear Osama bin Laden kind of beards. Those who think that they can intimidate us with those hooligans and rascals must begin to think again. I spent some time with Field Marshal Matumbe, who was a commander of the Mau Mau movement in Kenya. And I had a long conversation lasting 1 week with her in Nairobi. And I learned important lessons. Even the British Army, whose navy was supposed to rule the waves, could not defeat the Mau Mau movement. And Jomo Kenyatta eventually became the president of Kenya. Sergeant Ajete was shot. Corporal Atipo was shot. It did not prevent the success of the independence movement, leading to the declaration of Ghana as an independent state on 6 March 1957. This must be important lessons for those who are in the mistaken belief that they can frighten us. Nobody can frighten us, and we will not be afraid of anybody. We want to do the best for our country. We want to avoid chaos. We want to build a prosperous country. We want to build a democratic country. But we will not do it under the threats of violence and guns. We will not do that. And indeed, they must know that there are so many people in this country who don't fear death. Our history is there. In Ashanti, Yara Santua took up the weapon to defend the Ashanti Empire against the British Empire. Yara Santua's history is there. We have seen many of our leaders in the past and in the present who stand up for the truth and who cannot be intimidated. Let not these little minds, let not these fickle human beings and so on, get it into their heads that when they fire a few shots, all of us will take cover. We will not take cover. Let them not get it into their heads that if they succeed in burning the house of Lieutenant Colonel Bevolate, all of us are diving for cover. We ain't diving for cover. Let them get it into their heads that the more they burn and the more they kill, the more energized we will become, the stronger we will become, and the resistance will continue until the truth about this election is firmly established. NPP has misgivings. NDC has misgivings. The Electoral Commission itself is not happy about the results it declared. Who am I to say that everything is nice and fine? It is not nice and it is not fine. It cannot be nice and it cannot be fine. In any case, you know, these are the people who claim that they are the biggest lawyers of our time and so on. And yet it appears that when they are reading the Constitution, they read it upside down. They should put on their lessons and read the Constitution in its proper place. If you read the Constitution, the right to demonstrate is an unfettered right. There is no fetter to the right to demonstrate in the Constitution. The fetters were introduced by an inferior law. A law which Parliament brought about. And Parliament cannot bring about laws which are superior to the provisions of the 1992 Constitution. It's clear. So they should read their law well. If they read their law well, they will not be making some of the statements they are making today, which make them look like... Once I finish.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Pratt. Well, let me go back and acknowledge some of the radio stations that are taking us live, because I've just been notified that Zeb's FM 95.9 in the Upper East region is taking us live in Zebila. Big thank you to them. So Voter 1 TV, Global Niwasi Radio, Bewa Radio, Matambo Radio, Diamond FM, Matambo and Diamond are in Tamale. In the central region, we have Benya 105.7 FM and also Reach 98.7 FM. In the greater Accra region, Ahunto 92.3 FM. A very big thank you to them. If you just join us, we're doing an outside broadcast of Alhaji and Alhaji. What that means is that it is now time for those who've joined us to also share some quick thoughts on the issues pertaining to the election. So I'll be happy if some mics can be passed around so that we can hear from well, those who joined us here. Well, let me just read a message from Ambassador Sampiale, who says, ask the MPP man what is more threatening to the peace of Ghana, burning of ties or shooting into innocent and defenseless Ghanaians. If his only argument...
That is very interesting. You have people who are complaining that some people are burning ties. They are so worried that people are burning ties in the streets, but they are not worried about people who are killing people. What kind of people are these?
He continues, if his only argument is NBC is going to court, then he rest assured, because by Tuesday he will be shocked. In 2016, the MPP man lined up 36 lawyers, but it took only 3 lawyers led by Chachu to demolish him. Let him understand that the NDC has some of the best qualified and finest lawyers in Ghana. If the NDC does not know mathematics, then what can we say of the Electoral Commission? Well, the direction is Nganiba. Briefly.
Thank you. I want to thank our national party, our national chairman, my boss Nana B. Samioku, and the general secretary. I think that Ghana is Ghana, and Ghanaians are Ghanaians. Election is gone, and a winner has been declared. I don't think it was Ivorians who voted. I don't think it was Togolese who voted. It was Ghanaians. So some Ghanaians might not be happy with what happened, but that is the result. So when you put together, the Ghanaians that wanted the victory had it. If you take Honorable A.B. Husseini's consensus, he won 2016 almost about 19,000. This year he won less than 10,000, around 8,000. That tells you that we are on focus, or we are on our way despite some of the MP laws or the MP's laws, it should not account that that is MPP that has lost. The contest was parliamentary and presidential. Our president, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, he has already won. Once he has won, declared by the EC, no human being can change that verdict until otherwise happens. Otherwise, the EC had declared that he's the president-elect. We don't have two president-elects as we sit now. So if we had only one president-elect and we are not satisfied with that, I think probably we can go our way and do what we want. But let's remember that our General Secretary NDC said that if you lose elections, we don't need people to come and beg you. So the same way we are not begging anybody, it is the contest that has declared itself. And if you look at the comments, some people would have passed comments that are not good, others would have passed comments that are good. Our national chairman, NDC, he's allowed to have said certain things, but our MP, something also in the MPP, also certain things. So you compare what somebody said, the leader, is happening as compared to somebody who is just threatening. Look at the two, which one is more criminal? So I think that what we can do now is that we can come on board, wait for 2024, let our president who has lost, if he wants to come again, I think it's normal. If Ghanaians think that, oh, maybe you contest you accepted 2012, you accepted 2020, maybe let's give it to you, Ghanaians will decide that. But if Ghanaians say that, oh, it is Nana Akufo-Addo we want as our president, I think it is fair enough. And nobody, but is it Togolese that said that? If you take the 51%, I don't think it's avoidance. So on that matter, I think that we have a cause. We are not satisfied.
Thank you.
The NDC is not satisfied. As for the MPP, we are okay with the results.
Okay.
We are only waiting for the swearing in, and once that takes place, I think we get to go. Somebody might not be satisfied because of the Techiman staff, but once you are not satisfied with the Techiman staff, I think the rules are there. If we take our minority that went to the EC,
okay. Thank you.
There was no even need for all of them marching there.
Thank you.
Because they have a leadership. It is the content of they going to the EC that is important, but it is not the people EC wanted to look at. Okay. So for that matter, I think the EC has declared that the president is elect, President Akufo-Addo is elect. We'll go by that.
Thank you.
Any other time, we'll take other decision by Ghanaians. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, please, briefly.
Thank you.
Be as brief as you expected him to be. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Thank you. The panel has said just about everything I want to say. And it's rather unfortunate that some of the utterances we're hearing from our MPP brothers here, you know, the logic doesn't make logic. There's no logic to what you're saying. First, the person who is the victim is the same person who must come and prove. The one who is stealing, who is the thief, you are watching the thief go, but you are worried about the one whose stuff is being stolen. You have stuck the courts with your people and you are asking us, go to court, go to court. And like we are saying, we will go to court. But when I take a place like my constituency, a Sikado Ketan constituency, it was clear daylight robbery. We want the special forces, the special votes. So if you want anything to happen in the study, they should go and look at the special vote numbers. We want it clear cut, hands down. And the point we are trying to make is that we will not, I repeat, we will not allow people to intimidate us to take away the real mandate of the people. We will not sit back and watch it happen. My MP or incumbent MP has been around for 16 solid years. If he had done the work that the people wanted him to do, I wouldn't have found work to do when I came. Completely incompetent, has not done anything for the constituency. So the people within the constituency needed the change. They asked for the change and they voted for the change because, like Comrade Kwesi Pratt said, they need better schools. They need proper markets. They need roads. They need jobs. The youth in our constituency need jobs. employment, proper employment, ejumapa. They need proper water and sanitation. That is what the people voted for.
Okay.
So we cannot allow one person to use his political might and maybe his stature with his protuberant abdomen to come and take over the constituency and lord it over us.
Okay.
It's Kadukatan constituency. We want that election fair and square.
Thank you.
And there is nothing the opponent can do to subvert the real will of the people. The NDC is standing strong. NDC will not allow anyone up to the presidential level to subvert the real will of the Ghanaian people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Well, still morning. It's unfortunate that we have very little time here. I just want to add to what my bosses said before I just want to say that as a young person, amongst very older people who have experienced much more from even before the independence of Ghana, I'll say I've been very privileged to enjoy so much peace in Ghana. In fact, all over the world, when you travel, we are very noted for our peace, the peace that we enjoy. But we seem to forget that it doesn't come easy, or it comes with so much effort. Every country that is experiencing so much violence today, at a point there was an intersection where they had to swing from a very peaceful era to a very violent era. It is up to the people to maintain their peace. That is what we've been doing in Ghana here. And I wonder when in situations like these you realize that the victim has been solely burdened with maintaining peace. In us, there is no justice, but everyone is expecting peace. So when I've been poked in the eye, when I have been grossly offended, and it's very evident, I am expected to let everything go because we love peace. But who is doing what to the one who has offended us? Who is questioning the one who has offended us? Today we have the Peace Council and all the other Christian council and whatever councils that they are, who are in charge of mediating these matters when it goes wayward, being silent, and everyone calling on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NPP to stand down, the NDC to stand down, because we are burning a few ties. We had a journalist yesterday, was it yesterday or 3 days ago, interviewing our secretary, our general secretary, General Mosquito, asking him whether he sanctioned the burning of ties and all these violent issues. When over 8 people are dead in Techiman, and no one, including the president, hasn't even made any remarkable statement to sympathize with these families and the constituency as a whole, as though lives don't matter anymore. But then everyone is bothered because we are marching peacefully, protesting peacefully, and they are scared. I'm asking, why do you think these people are scared?
Okay, Jiva,
in any way,
thank you very much.
Let me just end in 30 seconds. In any way, at the end of the day, you realize that there is legitimacy in our claim. So there is so much fear in what we may do, knowing that we are the largest opposition party. So I just want to say and conclude that going forward, everyone out there should realize that the burden of peace should not only lie on the head of the victim. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to everyone, especially my constituents, Okainkwe North constituency. I want to assure my constituents that we remain resolute and focused. It is not over until it's over. The verdict of the people will not be stolen. We've had a very strong meeting and we will continue to stand our grounds. Whenever the whistle is blown, you must all come out. We have been attacked recently, just to put fear in our people. My constituency chairman was attacked. As we speak, I have a victim in the hospital whose leg is broken. Notwithstanding, we are going to fight till the end. Ghanaians voted for change. That is correct. And we will stand by our rights. We will do everything legally possible. We will not be succumbed by any police notice or whatsoever. We know that demonstrating is within our rights. It is enshrined in the Constitution. And like our senior man said, the Constitution of Ghana is bigger than any other authority in this state. And so, Okaikwe North, we are focused and we are calling on all other constituencies that be on the alert and don't be scared. What they intend to do is to put fear in us, arrest few people here and there, and scare people here and there. But hey, when you go to sleep, our mandates will be stolen.
Okay.
Ghanaians are tired. We are in Christmas, but nobody is even feeling it. My constituents in the Okaikwe North needs a savior. They voted for a savior. They voted for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The youth of Okaikwe North need jobs. We have millions of youths out there who are suffering. And Ghanaians voted clearly. And if you look at nationwide, we spoke with one loud voice.
Okay.
And that cannot be changed.
Thank you.
And so we ensure that our votes will be maintained and our people should be on the standby, and you know what I am talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Now over to you.
Yes, sir, thank you very much. And, I stand here to assure the nation that Central Region supports fully the decision of President John Dramani Mahama and the National Democratic Congress to reject the flawed election results. Based on their own statistical inaccuracies, there are several cases of pardon in other regions, especially Ashanti, Bono East, Eastern, and other areas. And it's important for me to make this point here on Pan-African television that is becoming insulting and an affront to the integrity of this nation for the electoral commissioner, that woman, and the MPP as a party keep on referring to this election as peaceful. Let me limit myself only to say something briefly in Awutu Senya East constituency, Kaswa. As we speak, we have people at the instructions of Nana Akufo-Addo's minister, Hawa Kumsi. They are in hospital now. Others are also home. In Upper Dencha West, DRSO, before a reinforcement from the regional police command moved for the returning officer to be able to return back from Kumasi to DRSO to declare for lawyer Daniel Darko as the NDC member of parliament elect. We had a minister of state, Isaac Esiama, leading armed hoodlums, firing left, right, center. And as we speak, he is walking free. But let a journalist with Power FM speak on his Facebook page. They will arrest him and detain him for more than 28 hours. Is this the kind of government Nana Addo Akufo-Addo was handed over to? No. Gomwa is, it's happening. So, respectfully, all these peace council co-mininis, all these Christian council co-mininis, they are very good pastors and church leaders in this country. But we are talking about those who have been corrupted, holding position in this so-called peace council and this Christian council co-mininis. They should spare us with the rhetoric that the election was peaceful. No, it is insulting.
Okay.
Especially when we have witnessed this demilitarization of our democracy for the first time.
Mr. Dawood, I wish I could allow you to go on. Okay, you just stand up and come. Okay. No, anybody.
Responsibility to ensure that people are not unnecessarily maligned. Isaac Esiama, for example, has not been arrested by the police. I haven't heard about any complaint against him. He has not been convicted and so on. If you have allegations to make against him, state them as allegations. You understand? State them as allegations and not as fact. The two are different. You understand what I'm saying?
Thank you very much. My name is Chris Alhaji. I'm happy that I'm here today. I'm not sending a text message from home. We live in a country where the burning of Thai is more. The burning of Thai is more important than the killing of people. Dante Alighieri says that the hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of moral crisis. My message to religious bodies is that if they don't speak, a time will come, they will have nobody to preach the message of righteousness to. Because we are the same people they are killing and they refuse to talk. And the time will come, they will not see anybody in the churches. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Stanley Nate is my name. Now my question is, our good brother from the MPP side, in your submission, you said that the NDC has not made any statistical proof to the fact that they genuinely won the election. I'm speaking as a patriotic citizen. I'm speaking as a citizen and not a spectator. Where were you when Dr. Ahito, who is a biostatistician at the University of Ghana and a lecturer, came out with statistical proofs that by his computations, the election has to go for a runoff using EC's own results that they declared? Where were you? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, let me let him come. Don't worry. Kojo, I can see you.
Thank you very much. I am Nechuna Piabodi, Ablikuma Central Constituency. It is very sad that things will happen in the country and people will keep quiet and expect that there will be peace. Let me narrow it down to Ablikuma Central. At the Coalition Center at Odoko Police Quarters, the seat now is owned by the MPP, Ebeni Nanate. During the coalition, young men acting as polling agents for NDC, some were shot. Abbas Ibrahim died just last week. Our President John Mahama came there with Professor Jane. You see, the fact is that MPP won the election parliamentary over 6,000 votes in 2016. In 2020, we covered the gap and we won against them over 500 votes. They did not really want to understand it. At the Coalition Center, we saw people, as our senior comrade said, bearded policemen and military men shooting. The MP was there. Lord Comet too was there. The fact of the matter is that Lord Comet's personal bodyguard, he had nothing to do with the election. Kola entered the Coalition Center, began to shoot. People are lying in the hospitals. But it seems as if everybody is quiet. We are talking about peace. When you come to Ablikuma Central, the tension is very, very serious. Our PC and now MP-elect, Honorable Lateef Dan, he's a peaceful man. We were supposed to have our work, but it was called off because the tension was too much. Because if people are being killed, people are being maimed, and nothing is being done about it, peace can never happen when there is no justice. Okay. What we are pleading is that the president should act as a president who is father for all. Not because NDC people are dying, you are quiet. The fact of the matter is that you can't suppress the people for long. Okay. When you put calabash in water, it will come up. Let's be careful. Otherwise, the country...
No.
Thank you very much.
Now you're sounding like Jimmy Sands.
So the fact of the matter is that the peace will come, but the peace will come when there is justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Chumbuafo, I see Mr. Kojo Chumbuafo here. Please, let's listen.
Can I speak here?
Yes, you can.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Merry Christmas to everybody.
I think you may have to take the mask off briefly so that we can hear you well.
Merry Christmas to everybody. As murky as the Christmas is, merry anyway. Those of you, especially, and I decided to sit outside and just listen to what people were saying. To those of you who don't know the history of this country, during the 1970s, there was a popular uprising called the Unigov protest. There's somebody sitting here who was an active part of the Unigov protest. That protest was a protest against an election that a sitting government won. It was a people's protest that ended up in the removal of a president, no matter how it happened. So those of you who are sitting here and saying that somehow or the other, the only way that people can protest is go to court, because we have arranged the court processes in such a way that that's the only way you can protest, you are grossly mistaken. I will also refer you to what happened recently in Burkina Faso. The people decided that they had had enough of a flawed election, and without a single gunshot fired, they marched to the presidential palace and removed their president. Without a single gunshot fired, without soldiers, without police, people, popular people uprising. There's a saying in where I come from. So usuma brewa, let us understand something very clearly. And everybody here, even the MPP people here, and I heard my friend over here saying a lot of things, know what has happened. Let me just take Techiman South. Simple. We have asked the returning officer of Techiman South to give us the summary sheet. By law, it's in the electoral law. First of all, he said it was with the regional officer. We went to the regional officer. He said it's with the returning officer. We went to the returning officer. He said he can't find it. After further pressing, he said it was burnt. Does he smoke weed or something with the paper? Or did somebody do that? You see, let's get something very straight. And I like what Kwesi said. This is all about trying to select a speaker for parliament. But everybody should understand, and there's an MP here, whether the MPP get their speaker or not, they cannot run this country in the manner in which they did 4 years ago. Because at the very least, they are going to have to appoint ministers. So government business is going to be impacted by the people who are in the chamber all the time. So if I were them, what I would try to understand is that the people of this country are asking the two political parties to work together. At the very least, that's what they're asking. And by now, people should be talking to people. But the arrogant stance that, you know what, for MPs to attempt to petition an electoral commissioner who is guarded more than the Pope, an electoral commissioner who is guarded more than the president of this republic, an electoral commissioner who is guarded more than Fort Knox. Go to her house right now. There are armored cars from the end of the street to the other end. So can you sleep at night? Can you sleep at night? That's the litmus test. Let us understand something, my friends in the MPP, understand something very clearly. What you have done, you will not get away with. End of story. You can kill, if you kill 6.3 million people, there will be 6.3 million people left for you to rule. But you can't kill all of us. History has proven. Start from Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, Adolf Hitler, Napoleon Bonaparte. Name all of them. To today, there's something very common about all of them. They all came to pass. They are all dead. They are all gone. So, we the people, we will still be here. We will still be here. 4 more to do whatever you want. Today, as we speak, there are some people who have bought my bags and are having wedding. Today. Today. When the people are suffering, we have bought $200,000 fleet of cars and we are having wedding. Today. You folks in the pictures. It's a crying shame where we are in this country. Democracy will rule. Some people have been to prison for us to be able to talk like this. One of them is sitting here. Some people have lost their right to write in their chosen professions because of free speech. One of them is sitting here. And we will not allow that pain and that sorrow and that torture to go in vain. So they're going to have to kill all of us. They're going to have to arrest all of us. But there's not enough space in the prison. So like it's in the Bible, Paul and Silas, they were put in jail. They were handcuffed to the walls of the jail and they spoke out to God and in the middle of the night, the chains came off and the whole prison, we will shake that prison one way or another.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning. For the sake of something, I have to ignore whatever I wanted to respond to what my brother here said. My senior comrade, Chrissy Pratt, said something. There are some people that would be asleep and act as if they are dead. So whatever that was actually discussed here, he never heard nothing. But to him directly, Ghanaians voted, and Ghanaians are demanding their votes to be counted. Two, we've had a lot of arguments going on social media. And last week, I think 2 days ago, a member of parliament for Tamale Central has been invited at the CID headquarters for a comment he made on this same show. This same week, we've had some member of parliament, the same people that we or they are actually seeking us to learn from them, sitting on TV, insulting the former president to be words I can't say here. And the Peace Council that are calling for peace, none of them have been able to come out to condemn the words used by this, members of parliament. The final question, I don't know what if I have to call it a comment or a question, goes to the CID, that the same people that had the Tamale Central MP made a comment here on Alhaji Alhaji, have they also heard what Kennedy Japan, Chairman Untumi also made on their various platforms?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Pan Africa. Oh, it's still morning. Okay, good morning, Pan Africa. Honorable Teresa Awoni, I recognize you, my schoolmate. Honorable Kwesi Pratt.
Okay.
And everyone present. I have a simple question that I want to pose to both sides, NDC and MPP. I'm happy both representatives are here. So those will go to the deputy, I think, youth organizer and the Honorable Husseini. Is there anything that we as citizens do not know? Because it's been some time now after elections. No one is conceding. No one is more of being accepted as elected by both sides. And there's nothing like dialogue. Is there anything happening that we do not know relative to dialogue? And I think as I leave the microphone, I want to also ask both sides, is there anything that Peace Council is doing to restore the peace that we've been enjoying all this long?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good morning, viewers and everybody. For good 24 years in Okankwe North, I'm happy the Yasantua, whom we are proud of in Okankwe, Honorable Teresa Awoni, has won the seat. I'm not surprised because from the one when the competent EC boss, Charlotte Say, was removed from the office, some of us expect that 2020, this is what is going to happen. I'm from Okankwe, and let me speak to what happened in Okankwe North. A day before the election, the constituency executives had an information. We have to storm to the EC office, the district office at college, to burn a lot of ballot papers which they claim was an asset. The question is, if that had not been done, like today, probably the Fuseni and Anado might claim that they've won the city there. What I want to say is, all that is happening, and would like to assure Ghanaians and then the EC box that We saw it clearly, and all that has happened, we are not going to let it go. We are going to fight to the letter and ensure that JM come to power, and that is what we are expecting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas to all of us, and
Many
to the good people of Domi Kwabinya. This election, right from day one, the statement of poll, even on that document, that's a mistake. When you pick the statement of poll, it's supposed to be filled in 3 areas. Before the election starts, that is the Form 1A. Then the Form 1B, and then the Form 1C. The Form 1C, filling it is a problem because even a column to be created for the number of people who have gone through the verification wasn't there. A day to the election, we were called to the Electoral Commission to break the seal of 356 boxes that we have sealed, just to put a stamp on the very mistake that they have done. And guess what? The very thing that they did, thinking that the stamp could have corrected those mistakes, the presiding officers, most of them did not even feel the number of people who went through the verification. And so right from day one, even go to court. The primary document that we use to go to court, that is the statement of poll. There's a mistake on that document. So what are we going to do?
Thank you. Yes, madam.
Good morning. If you are me, I can't afford to Ganyoni. Ninkele fe josu. No mi to makele. Me hanele ake wo ye wonke this time me won me. Wokne na akufado abata wo no ekun. No keke yo for yo ni. Ebotu ojupan. Ne ke wule ake wo ganye ye wo ke enough is enough. Eke ewule ake me eboko because eyeko. Ke eye wo ke ba le boko beni eye 2016. Ni won me ha le boko wo ke afine ke wo wo jele ni peye enmo e boko e ja ke wo ke wo me he wo pine ni wa ku fadu e enmo e boko imami lenkele fe wo fun la mo ejosu ni wo ngene ndumo na ake enyami yo alo ake ebi eke ewule ake enmo e boko e hawo koni to enjole abagana koni ye fo ye ni yo Ghana amena to enjole koni ye ni yo Ghana ye ana to enjole ide ke bia ne ebala ke ayata wo ye ke wo bi ye woni wo ba pin okolela ku fa do gan ye hene ke bi ba ata chi wo le wo be heko chi no we to ake wono wo ba anu ene ya engape erado.
Thank you. Aside 2016, I don't understand the rest of what you said.
I'm Solomon
Yes,
Okutu from Sege constituency. Auntie Joyce, this question goes to you. I want to know the advice you give to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We had allegations on Oman FM that he is responsible for the burning of the market in Ghana. And secondly, his house will be burnt. What advice will you give to His Excellency? Then secondly, I will be disappointed in the NDC if they let this matter go scot-free. If they don't pursue this election that we have had in 2020, I will be disappointed because there was a project going on in Adan East and Adan West. They are done with the Adan East one, Sea Defense Project. It has left with the Adan West one to be done. And the NDC left power. Up to today, that project has been left undone.
Okay.
I want us to pursue as a party because I know we have won this election. Thank you.
Okay. Unfortunately, this gentleman will be the last comment we'll take because we have exceeded our time, the time that has been given to us. So he will be the last person. I sincerely apologize.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is
Alex Mensah. I'm from Trobo constituency, the youth organizer for Golden Doors. It's rather unfortunate. Everybody is talking about peace, the CSOs, the Peace Council. Everybody saying we want peace to prevail. So for the sake of peace, let's leave everything. And my question is, so because of peace, should we annul the 1992 Constitution, or should we forget, or should we circumvent the will of the people just because of peace? We shouldn't pursue it. That whatever has transpired because of peace, we should let it go. Are we living in a banana republic? There's law. So we shouldn't just sit down and say, because of peace, let us forget and let peace reign. No. We should pursue it. That whatever is necessary to bring back the will of the people. We are not saying by all means bring back President John Mahama. No. We are saying the will of the people. And in any case, I want my friends in the NPP here to tell me that the declaration by the chairperson, with that word she used as inadvertently an inadvertent figure, can you stand on that figure to pronounce an election? Standing on inadvertent figure to pronounce an election.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, my producers have told me I can take some more. Please come, gentlemen.
All right. So let me end.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sitting behind, I was a bit scandalous listening to my friends from the MPP guys making that comment. And one will begin to ask, or when we'll begin to ask some questions about, do they live in the country with us? Because you cannot look at this just past election and say it is free and transparent. It's not true. Because if not for this election, I wouldn't know that the EC has not become a Jubilee House annex, or maybe a branch of the MPP. Because anything the EC put out, whether wrong or good, they come back to us to defend it. And if we allow these things to fester, going forward, someone will sit somewhere and then come into us, just declare election, say, go to court. And we have our democracy being attacked now. And it is very, very bad. So I'll plead my MP guys that when they are talking, they should be able to listen to what Ghanaians are saying. We are all watching the TV. We are all looking at what's going on. We are all watching the TV, look at what's going on the street. They should listen to themselves. You can't sit here and say the election has declared, so nobody can do anything about it. It is very wrong.
Okay.
It's very wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Timothy. Come from Pampram.
Okay. Please get a little closer and speak up for me.
I have a little advice for NDC. Nanado want to rule a country like Togo. I patrol, I work a lot. I go Togo, I go every some of the country. But how Nanado is now doing the country, it's been like Togo, how Yatema rule Togo. If you are a journalist, you speak something, night they will go and arrest you, and then they keep you, harassing you a lot. That's why Togo become a quiet. Because those can speak, they arrest them, they change their life. They kill some people. I think Nanado want to bring Togo law to Ghana. But we are Ghanaians, trained by British and American or Israel. So he want to face us, to face some of us, a little body, but it's life. So he should take care by this law and grace.
Thank you.
I'm done.
The gentleman is the last one. Then I'll come to my panel.
Good afternoon to you all. I would prefer to mention my name because whatever statement I want to make, I want it to be on record. My name is Isaac Darcy. What I want to say is this. If there's no justice, there will be no peace. Justice is the gate to enter into a peaceful home. So if there's no justice, there will be no peace. When you jump the wall, which is the justice, to enter into the house where there is peace, you will be caught and that means you are a thief. What is happening in Ghana here? We the youth, we've seen it. We have witnessed, at my age, I've witnessed about 5 or 6 elections. And clearly what the EC did, I have never seen anything of that sort. Now we have about 6 results coming. Which one are we taking? Which one are we taking? Which one are we taking? That's my question.
Okay.
My MPP men here, I'm asking, which one are we taking? Because she has declared for you people. So which one are we taking as your resource?
Thank you.
Which one are we taking?
Let me take the gentleman at your back so that we can. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. My name is Daniel Busumpra, and I'm here on behalf of the grassroots to give my message to Honorable ABA Fuseni that the people have spoken, and we are looking at you for you to do something about it. If you let this verdict go, then don't think of winning election in Ghana here. The MPP have put in place mechanisms to make sure that NDC stay in opposition for some time longer. So if you've not taken your steps to fight for us, then forget the grassroots. We are looking up to you. If you let it go, then you have to forget about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your wonderful contributions. Before I come to my panel, just a little part of a message sent by Dr. David Percy. Says, "Now, why is my friend Kwesi Pratt still promoting the dangerous illusion that our president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is a Democrat who is hostage to hawks in his party, and that left to Nana, our acceleration to a police state will not be happening? Sorry. The plain truth is that the Ghanaian people elected a despot when they were conned to elect Nana Addo president in 2016. Many found his plea, Munso Minshe, difficult to resist. All Nada wanted was power and control of the public purse. On election, he promptly set about installing a climate of fear and repression. And with a supersized government of family and friends, what a corrupt show Nana the Incorruptible has displayed. On 7 December 2020, the Ghanaian people cast a vote of no confidence in Nana Addo. The crude attempt to steal the mandate of the Ghanaian people expressed on 7 December 2020, including the crude and unprecedented insertion of military violence into constituency coalition centers to achieve that end, and now the suppression of constitutionally guaranteed rights to demonstrate in response to protests directly reflects his will, and he is treading the path of all despots that have gone before him. Alhaji. And very briefly, 2 minutes, please. Yes, I apologize. That's all I can.
Go and surrender the vote that the good people of this country voted on 7 December 2020 for President Mahama. The vote that was voted for President Mahama is not his vote. It is the vote of you, the people of this country. And so nobody, that's why I said, and I've said it unmistakably, loud and clear, that the grandfather of the person who will make the concession to the NDT, MPP on this election, his grandfather is not yet born. So it won't happen today, it won't happen tomorrow, it won't happen forever. And that is why, if you listen to me from the very onset, I said that the good people of this country should start coming out in your hundreds of thousands onto the streets to fight for your mandate. Look, no matter how hot the sun is, it will set. No matter how Nana Akufo-Addo, it will set. And especially when the good people of this country have indicated that they have voted him out. So it is for the will. And like my comrade Kwesi Pratt said, the sovereign will of the people supersedes everything and anything. So this is the opportunity for Ghanaians to exercise their sovereign will. Let us not allow that to be taken by or to be cowed into submission by somebody. I want to take some small issue with my friend Kwesi Pratt. Respectfully, I disagree with him about his advice to Nana. When he said the hawks in his party, he must. Nana Akufo-Addo himself is more than a hawk. All the things that are happening about these hoodlums in the history of our country, did we ever see hoodlums in military uniform, police uniform, terrorizing civilians? Until Nana Akufo-Addo came, he's more than a hawk. In fact, he's an eagle. He's worse than a hawk. So he cannot be prevailed upon when he's the one perpetrating all this thing, and you ask him that he should look. This is somebody, like I said, who, when he was in opposition, was started as a Democrat. Today, even little criticism, if you make a small criticism against him, he will come against you. Look at what they do to Polafoko and others in their party. So if they can get feathers to pluck from a tortoise, what will they do when they get a foul? Today, Radio Gold and all those things, they are shut. Under whose watch? And I, sitting on the Communications Committee of Parliament, I know who is responsible for the shutdown of the radio stations. Because as a committee, we even met and tried to bring the matter to closure. It was directives from Nana Akufo-Addo, who said he doesn't want Radio Gold back on the airwaves. Is this a Democrat? So let us not kid ourselves. Saying it in clear terms. The people of Ghana, if we think that, and I say it, this mandate has been stolen, there's no doubt about that. If we allow this electoral commission and this result to stay, my brother, let's just forget our democratic process. Because a rigging machine would have been definitely installed at the headquarters of the electoral commission. Jim Mensah, Bosman, and all those people who were brought to come and steal the mandate will now have a mandate to perfect the act of stealing at the electoral commission. And no election in this country again can go that will be in consonance with the mandate of the people of this country.
Alhaji, thank you.
So let us all stand up and make sure that this bogus, fraudulent verdict is not allowed to stay.
Alhaji, thank you. Farouk Ntamali, MPP never won genuine elections in Ghana. NDC will not allow the sovereign will of Ghanaian people to be subverted. Power-drunk politicians cannot take us for granted. Mr. Potter.
In 3 minutes, I noticed nothing different from what has been said by the supporters of the NDC. Clearly, all these lamentations points out to a sudden activation of the history and theology of NDC's communicators and news surrogates than any other Ghanaian. They do these activations of history and theology, forgetting the position of law and mathematics. The statement I want to make in closing is the fact that elections are mathematical in nature. The NDC was able to come on the screens and to give us details of the factual basis upon which their position is grounded in the particular issue of Techiman South. Why can't they do same in the particular instance of JM and to prove to us that he has won? Now, let me make this arithmetic in just the next 30 seconds. We cited on this platform, as we have heard the NDC make the claims of Techiman South and Asojaman as the basis for which they think that there is something fundamentally wrong with the mathematics of the EC. Judging that against the statement that even if that were to be handed to the NDC, they wouldn't still have won. Truly, it changes nothing different because the 47,000 votes in Asojaman constitute 0.359%. The 128,018 votes of Techiman South, constitutes just about 0.867%. Add that. Subtract that, 0.587. Now add the two. The percentage change does not affect the credibility of the verdict of victory for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as president-elect. So if you are now calling him, an eagle, if you are now thinking there was it will change to 50.3, not 50.13. That is still a win because the Constitution says 50 plus 1. So why is it that you people are running away from the arithmetic? And in court, why the NDC can't go to court? Oh, may I make my point? The NPP doesn't behave this way when you are talking, so let us talk with all respect. And you see, the only reason why the NDC cannot go to court, after they admonished us under the same theology and history in 2012 to go to court, why they do not have basis to go to court is because the mathematics is wrong. The court will resort to arithmetics, the court will resort to figures and to make a declaration.
Okay.
We hear that the courts are arranged in a manner that
going to land on the mathematics, but now you're going beyond the mathematics.
Now the mathematics don't always interject me like that. I don't like it.
No, I'm not.
The basis of this whole thing, I want to say that call Ghana a banana republic, call it a cassava republic, call it a plantain republic, call Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo an eagle, call him a bird, whatever you want to call him. Declarations are made. We are not saying don't protest. Resort to the appropriate public channels to make your case.
Okay.
You are running away from that, and you think that nobody should talk about it.
Thank you, Elvis.
On the 7th of December, I'll be looking forward to seeing you.
Old traffic lights. Senator Jean Mensah is the biggest threat to Ghana's democracy. Senator, how can there be peace when there is no justice? We will never forgive NDC leadership if they allow Jean and Anado to steal our democracy. Hashtag no JM, no peace. Madam.
First of all, indicates that justice delayed is justice denied. That President Mahama maintains that these elections were rigged, and they were rigged in favor of President Akufo-Addo. He will not accept the outcome of a flawed election result. So those two issues are not in doubt. If we're talking about arithmetic and additions, even on Techiman South, the figures and the percentages as ascribed by the EC are clearly wrong. And the mathematicians are here. I don't want to engage in this mathematical gymnastics that the MPP is choosing to carry along with itself. If you add and you tabulate all the figures, even the EC itself arrived at a wrong conclusion, and that is actually not in doubt. Let me also indicate that it is not does not lie in the mouth of the MPP to tell the NDC how or what to do to exhibit its disaffection, dissatisfaction, and of course, what route to take to even express our displeasure. I think that actually is within our remit as a political party, the single largest opposition party in this country, one that has won more elections under this Fourth Republic than any other political party. We are all advocates of democracy. We are all students of political science. There is no doubt that clearly on the face of the declaration made by the EC itself, suo motu, I would not even go to the other extraneous issues. In terms of the overvotes, in terms of the pardon, in terms of constituencies where more ballot papers were even issued beyond what actually is on the register. Are these not all clear evidence of breaches of the EC's own regulations as derived by the Elections Act? There's also a raft of issues abound. The next thing is that we went on with Sene West. We won eventually. Upper Denchira West eventually was recovered. Same will be done for Takwa and Swayem. Same will be done for Estikado, Ketan, and all the others that are for Zabzugu as well. So I have no doubt in my mind that the NDC won this election hands down. That history will eventually adjudge us as winners. The law courts will endorse that win, and the good people of Ghana will accept that indeed the NDC was the winner of this past election. In terms of those who are going around and trying very hard to lobby President Mahama, sending emissaries to him, let me categorically state that those things should stop. It takes two to tango. And on this occasion, all we are asking for is justice. Justice for the over 6 million Ghanaians, justice for the NDC, justice for our parliamentary candidates who have won and being forced and chased out of elections that were rightfully and lawfully won. So for me and for the good people of Ghana, we want to ensure that our rights as a people, that our votes are clearly protected.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Pratt, a second. This one is from Julius Agahua and Tahiru Asawasi. Says, Sena, a happy belated birthday to you and a happy born day to Dr. Eduardo Manibuama. Says, Sena, tell the MPP rep that Akufo-Addo did Kumipreku demonstration against President J.J. Rawlings and nothing happened. Today, Akufo-Addo is using the security agencies to be shooting and brutalizing people for demonstrating against his government for subverting their will. Is JDM not right referring to Ghanaians as having short memory? Mr. Pratt.
Well, for the first time, I have evidence that ABA Fuseni does not always listen to his own proverbs. There was one proverb he has repeatedly told us. It's a proverb which says that if you're overzealous in doing something, you bring out the real thing. ABA Fuseni has brought out the real thing now. ABA Fuseni is not happy about urging the president not to listen to Hawks. And in his overzealousness, he has actually proclaimed the president as a national symbol. The eagle is a national symbol. And today, ABA Fuseni says that Akufo-Addo is a national symbol. Please. You see what overzealousness sometimes can lead to. You understand? Overzealousness sometimes can lead to many things. You see, my friends, me sitting down here, I have no doubt in my mind that if this country continues along the path we all see, this country will be destroyed. I have no doubt at all. And at the end of the day, there will be no beneficiary. And I hope Dr. Percy is listening. NDC will go down in flames in the same way that NPP will go down in flames. All of us will suffer what the citizens of Liberia suffered, will suffer. And I recognize that until January 7th or until a time when the proper election results will be pronounced and so on, Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of Ghana. And it is my responsibility as a citizen to urge him to do his work well as president. To urge him to call to order those who are instigating violence, those who are threatening to burn houses and to burn people alive and so on. It is Nana Akufo-Addo's duty to bring them to order. When I say so, I'm not being a chicken. I'm acting in the national interest. I don't want my grandchildren to go through the experiences that other people have been through in other parts of the world. I want to work in a country which is peaceful, which respects the rule of law, and which upholds the principles of justice. You understand? Of course, whether we like it or not, and ABF Husseini has said so, many people have said so. The current president had a certain reputation. Whether you like it or not, he had a certain reputation. I'm saying that you should live by that reputation and do the right thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's think about Ghana first. All this struggle, is this struggle for NBC? This struggle is not for NBC. When you insist that people's votes must count, you are not acting for NBC. You are acting for every decent person who believes in justice. Why? If this is a battle for NBC, what am I sitting here doing? If this is NBC's battle, what am I sitting here doing? This is a battle for Ghana. And I expect even people in the NPP who have conscience and who believe in justice to rally to the call. I expect people in the NPP to rally to the call. And today, there are several or many people in the NPP who are not happy with what is happening. Unless you can read. There are so many people in the NPP who are not happy with what is happening. Why do you think that the NPP itself has established a committee to investigate why they perform so badly? You think because their people are happy? Why do you think the NPP has done that? Why do you think that today the NPP is coming out and saying that the results as announced by the Electoral Commission, they are wrong, and therefore they have to look at 7 more constituencies? Why do you think they are doing that? They are under pressure internally. And if you have any sense and tactics, you deepen that pressure.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Okay, let me just do a few messages. Habib is saying, never in the history of Ghana have we had such a flawed election like this 2020 elections. Akufo-Addo has sent Ghana into a dictatorial rule. No freedom of speech. He will go down in the history of Ghana as worst president in Ghana. Demonstration King Kong. Who bans demonstrations? This is unbelievable. Where are the loudmouths talking during Mahama's era? Why are they silent? There must be justice, else there won't be peace. That's coming from Habib. Dennis Yakwete is saying the happenings at the EC is no longer crass incompetence, but rather it appears to be a suitable case of the evil men do live with and after them. You cannot steal votes or supervise the stealing of same in an election with a registered as biometric in character and think you can just go free without being exposed by a litany of errors. Never. The errors are just inescapably unstoppable, even as the EC appears to have gained a new name as Electoral Commission. You say, thank you for that message. Mr. Shanga, okay. Thank you. He was drawing my attention something earlier. Musa Batu, as a Senator Kennedy, Japan live on TV, insulted the judge like we've never seen before and got away with it. Today, he sits on live TV and insults former President Mahama and threatens to burn down his house. We all look on and yet act surprised and scandalized when SHS Keys insulted the president. The hypocrisy is just too much. You say, thank you. A lot more messages, but unfortunately, I have to bring the show to a close. I'd like to say a big thank you to every one of you who made it to the premises of Pan African TV today. It's always wonderful having you here, and I'm hoping that we'll find some time to do this again next year. And thank you for your wonderful comments. A big thank you to Dr. Grace Ayensu Dankwa, who is the NDC parliamentary candidate for Esikado Ketan. A big thank you to, I think I have to find this name. There has been a declaration anyway, but Nganiba Kwayaja. Thank you. I like your name. And also to Jifa Tega, wonderful to see you. And Madam, I keep forgetting them. Teresa Wuni. I keep forgetting. MP elect for Kakwino. Yes, thank you. And nice to see Mr. Kojo Chungwafo. Yeah, nice to see you. And well, a big thank you to Elvis Wota, who is Deputy National Organizer of the New Patriotic Party. A big thank you to Alhaji Alhaji, who is Member of Parliament for Sanyarugu, and also to Madam Joyce Bawa Muktari, who is a special aide to former President John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer of the presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, and then Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is the managing editor of the Inside newspaper. A big thank you to you, sir. And just to say a big thank you to Amma Pratt, who is host of The Couch and also channel manager of Pan-African Television, to KOD, Kwame Usudanso, who is also the programs manager of Pan-African Television, to Adam Lumo, who has been in my ears all day, head of technical of Pan-African TV, and also to my mother station, Radio Gold and Hunto FM, to all the radio stations that picked us live. A big thank you to Latifa Adams, to Bernardo, and the Pan-African TV social media team, Pan-African newsroom, and Pan-African technical team. They have done a lot of work in promoting this and working this out. Tijani, I haven't forgotten you, as if I jumped you in the list. Tijani is my producer, and wonderful work, by the way. My name is Sana Numbo. I'd like to say a happy birthday to Dr. Eduardo Manibuama, who has become difficult to get on this show. Happy birthday to you. Now, Koyo Okuno, also a happy birthday